for the king. Pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum. So to honor him, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, when we come. Baby Jesus, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, I am a poor boy too, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. I have no gift to bring, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. That's fit to give our king, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum. Shall I play for you, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, on my drum? Very night, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. The ox and lamb kept time, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. I played my drum for him, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. I played my best for him, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum, pa-pa-pum-pum. Then he smiled at me, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum.
All right. Welcome everybody to the BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend, Mr. BDA, flying solo for the moment. We're going to be remedying that in the coming minutes, I suppose. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Evening today, Christmas evening that is. Oh yes, it's the season to be jolly. Why not? And by the way, people are complaining about the music. This is a funky / sexy version of the Drummer Boy. So I don't know what the fuck you fellas are talking about. Suffice to say that I will continue to play this song and others, more Christmassy songs, as we go along the month. But before we listen, we got a lot to talk about. We got the Errol Spence Danny Garcia fight last night, solidifying Errol Spence's hold on the welterweight division. We're gonna talk about what's next for him, what's next for Danny Garcia and Angel Garcia, of course. We're gonna be opening up the phone lines later on. Might put up a StreamYard link for North American or outside of North American callers, I should say, because we want to get your input as well in all of this. Before we continue with the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to continue the gravy train rolling, the Christmas gravy train, that is. You want Mr. BDA to have a little something in his stocking other than a chunk of coal, you can donate via the Super Chat feature or the Patreon page or the BDA PayPal page. Why not? Go nuts, guys. It's your chance to spoil us. For everything we do for you, it's your chance to spoil us. Why not? You know what? I'm not even asking. I'm telling you, donate. All right? Now, you know what? The most important thing, of course, in this holiest of seasons is for you to continue spreading the BDA gospel. There's still a lot of unbelievers out there, so spread that. Like peanut butter pussy. You got to spread that. And also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right? So let's talk about it. We're going to talk about the last night's fight. We had Errol Spence and Danny Garcia fighting it out. And Errol Spence came out the winner. Unanimous decision, 116-112 on 2 cards and 117-111 on the last card. So a pretty resounding victory because, I mean, not everybody's been able to do that to Danny Garcia. So far, he's looked the best out of all the guys at welterweight. Although I still think Herrera... You know what? I have to rewatch the fight to remember how well Herrera did, or whether it's all hearsay and people have made it into a fact, out to be a fact, as if he really won that fight. I don't know. I'll have to see. But Errol Spence won that fight. No ifs and buts about it. I don't know what you fellas. I want to hear your comments in the chat. But I thought it was a bit more competitive than a lot of people expected, myself included. I do think Danny Garcia did a lot of things we talked about from the film analysis that we did on Wednesday before the fight. But I also think he lived up to his more, or should I say less, flattering aspects of his style, which is his activity rate. Very low activity rate. Anyway, before we continue, I want to have a little rapport here. I see we got Gonzalo on the Discord. Gonzalo, you there?
Yeah, how's it going, Mr. BDA? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. How are you, man?
Doing all right. The bitches in heat. Lobito's going crazy.
Oh boy. Hey, is it true that if you have two bitches, they end up fighting each other, and that's why you always have to have a male and a
Before.
female?
I've seen that before. It's true with roosters. Well, the roosters fight, and it's true with dogs as well. Yeah, the
No
bitches
kidding.
are very vicious to each other.
No kidding. Anyway, listen, we're not here. This isn't the Animal Planet. We're here to talk boxing. What did you think about last night's fights, man? Were you surprised about anything? Were you entertained? Anything that caught you off guard? Like about the main event, starting with the main event.
I was pleasantly entertained with the fight. I coasted. There wasn't like a feeling of like oohs and ahs, but I was entertained. The fight was good. Danny Garcia performed well. He did a lot of things that I didn't expect. He was very mobile, turning to his left, looking to land his hooks, but he just got beat by the better man, a more complete fighter in Errol Spence. Not trying to amuse you
Hey,
with the
Gonzalo,
shoulder roll.
you're fading out. You're fading in and out, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, he got beat by the better guy, Errol Spence, a fighter that's not trying to amuse you with the shoulder roll. He's not walking in with his hands down.
All
Errol
right,
Spence is
sorry,
coming
Gonzalo, I
in.
gotta cut you off, man. But you're fading in and out, man. Maybe jump back out and jump back in, or change
Okay, let me try to
the
fix.
cable. All right, but I get what Gonzalo's saying, though. By the way, it was just Errol Spence was just he's not flashy when he outboxes you. He's not. All right, go ahead, Gonzalo. See if we resolve this. Now I can see that the icon is green, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I changed one of the settings to echo cancellation, but I'll have to change it here in a minute.
Yeah, take
Yeah,
that
I'm just
shit
gonna try
off.
to speak low.
Take that shit off, soldier. All
Yeah,
right, you were saying?
Errol Spence is a fighter that's not trying to amuse you with a shoulder roll that's not inherent to his style.
Mm-hmm.
He's not walking in with his hands down or switching from righty to lefty. What he is doing, he's walking forward with his hands high, taking a step, taking two steps, walking you down with his elbows tucked, hardly any holes in his game for his opponent to exploit. Danny Garcia was trying to find some angles by circling to the left, by walking to the right, trying to land his signature left hook, but he couldn't find no openings because Errol Spence is that tight with his defense and incorporating that defense as he's walking forward to attack with his offense. So he doesn't do many things that will catch your eye until he's trying to dip and get the hell out of the way from a punch that the opponent is doing. But he don't need to because he's walking in with his these defensively responsible,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got the attributes for a great welterweight. He's long and rangy. He throws a spearing jab that's one of the straightest jabs that I've seen. One of the straightest punches in boxing, a power jab that spears his opponent. So he's got all the tools innately, like body wise. He's got good power in both hands. He's tall and rangy, and this is a fighter that you can see was taught to box at an early age, just
Yes.
perfect because whatever he does is downloaded already into the computer. Even though he went through a car wreck, nothing that the man knows what he knows. It's already in his DNA. So
Mm-hmm.
he's a complete fighter, and he didn't show actually from what I saw, no real wear and tear from the accident or the ring rust. I thought this was one of his better performances. And Danny, he fought a good fight, like I was saying. He was circling to the left, he was moving, but he just couldn't find the opening for his signature left hook because Errol Spence is just that tight. He keeps his shoulder high to protect his chin on his power hand on the left hand, while he's got his jab hand high to protect his chin on the opposite side. He's walking you down while keeping his elbows tucked to protect his rib cage as well. So he can punch and be very defensively responsible at the same time. Very
Mm-hmm.
textbook. He's like a chess player playing speed chess. He's walking you down trying to take all your pieces. And the opponent's gonna take some of your pieces, but Errol Spence is taking more of your pieces.
That's a great way of
That's what I
putting it.
saw.
You know what I really also like that you said, the fact that Errol Spence was able to come back after an accident, like that he's so well schooled and so into boxing that despite the accident, all he has to do is come back give it a good training camp, and boom, he's back in rotation. Also about the fact that, like you say, he doesn't do anything flashy. He's more, and we're going to talk about this later on, obviously, because the fight that's on all of our minds is now a Crawford-Spence fight. But you mentioned a good point about Spence staying tight, not doing anything stupid. Were you surprised, though, a little bit that he didn't try to push the pace more in the later rounds?
There was a round, I think, was it like the ninth, where I said, holy shit, he is pushing the pace. And he is breaking this guy that's stronger than Mikey Garcia and Danny. Similar style, but Garcia.
You're sorry, man. Sorry, you're fading out again.
Let me let me take the echo cancellation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, man. I mean, I'll tell you what. I was surprised about how fucking Spence didn't really push the pace a little bit more in the later rounds. I think he was surprised by Garcia's power, which was having an effect down low to the body. I thought he was doing fantastic. You know what? I expected him, when we talked about the keys to victory, we wanted to see hooks. I didn't expect a right hand down the body, but it worked fantastic, just like it did with Kell Brook. Kell Brook was having success against Errol Spence. We showed that clip in the last episode, how he was able to double Spence over a little bit with that right hand. But man, Garcia, when he was doing it, you could tell he was visibly affecting Spence. And then he was, when Spence was expecting the right to the body, he would loop the right upstairs to try to throw him off. It was a decent performance from Garcia, considering how he fights and how low an activity rate he has. But yeah, I mean, once you judge him based on what he could do or what he could have done in his past losses, that's when it gets disappointing. But as far as it goes, as normal opponents doing against Errol Spence, he fought, nobody's going to run over Danny Garcia. Guy's got a granite chin, perhaps one of the best chins in boxing. He can crack, and he's got underrated timing and defense. So I'm not surprised Errol Spence wasn't able to walk through him. But at the same time, it's disappointing if you're Danny Garcia to be... You know what, you guys, I see we got Jay on the line too as well, and we got Gonzalo back.
Yeah.
People were saying that, now some people are saying, well, Danny Garcia is a gatekeeper. If he's a gatekeeper, he's only a gatekeeper to the upper echelons of the welterweight division, i.e. the top 5, because I don't see any of the bottom 5 welterweights right now beating him. I'm talking about Ugas, that Russian dude that just fought on the zone a couple of weeks ago, and so on and so forth. I don't see those guys having an easy time or beating Danny Garcia. But so far, the top welterweights, we're talking Porter, Thurman, and now Spence have already beaten him. I would even take an old Pacquiao to beat him at this point, and of course Terence Crawford as well. But that's to be determined if they ever fight. Gonzalo, my thing was, when we talk about Errol Spence, were you surprised then that he wasn't able to take Danny Garcia out, or at least put a beating on him in the later rounds?
No, I think that he did put a beating on him, though. There was like a round, like I believe the 9th, where I said to myself, "Holy shit, he is walking him down." And Danny looks visibly hurt, and he did step a little back, I think. But I believe that really that Errol Spence did try to go to the knockout. But I mean, Danny Garcia's no slouch in the strength and the chin department, and he's always got that one punch that he can surprise you with. And he was probably looking for that. He was looking for that left hook or that right hook. But credit to Errol Spence, because he keeps his shoulders. I'm not talking about his guard also, but his shoulders, where he's protecting the side of his chins. You know how when you roll a punch, or you can like block a punch with your shoulder, he keeps his shoulder side, and he keeps his guard high as well. So I mean, credit to, and he's got a good chin. So maybe, I don't know if he had the power to knock out Errol Spence. Obviously, he didn't, and he couldn't do it. But I did believe that he was trying to go for the knockout, and Danny Garcia was hurt. Could he have stepped it up a level higher? Probably. And that's where maybe that raises the biggest questions about Errol Spence. Can he do a little more than what he showed here in the Danny and the Mikey fight, to tell you that he's got that extra little bit to push on the pedal to get these guys out of there? I think he showed it on this one, but maybe there's still something lingering in that department. If you could find, there's just a little bit of criticism.
Well, that's the thing, though, because look, I expected Errol Spence to box the way he did early, and then try to up the pace a little bit. Like try to walk him down the way he walked broke down. But here's the thing. When you can't stop Mikey Garcia, and I've heard people say, well, no, it's because he tried to box him. That whole thing is weird, and we could get into it later on. But the fact is he did try to stop Mikey Garcia late, and he couldn't do it. Here, I do think he tried to up the pace late, but then in the last, there was a round he took off. I think it was the 9th or the 10th. Then the 11th, he sort of tried upping it a little bit. And then in certain parts of the 12th, he tried as well. Then Danny Garcia came right back and backed him up. So maybe it's a case of Garcia being stronger than he expected, and so Spence sort of dialed it back a little bit. But there was a point in the fight where I saw him visibly slowing down, Errol Spence, that is, despite the fact that he was always more or less in control of the fight.
Well, BDA, it's dangerous to... It's dangerous. Like, okay, Danny Garcia, he's a counter puncher. He's not throwing any punches, so you don't know if he's not throwing punches because he's tired or he's saving himself. So if Errol Spence would have emptied his gas tank and he was shot his load, you never know if Danny Garcia was saving himself to attack when this guy's finished attacking, to catch him when he's tired. So that's why I think Errol Spence had to be extra cautious, because I'm not going to try to empty my tank and knock this guy out. And then when I empty my tank, he's going to respond with the flurry of hooks.
Exactly.
Because he's looking for that one moment. Very, very dangerous. And he's known to catch guys like his corner told him. When you're getting lazy in the... Yeah.
I agree, man. I completely agree. Because if you go back to one of the most dangerous guys that Garcia ever fought was Matisse at 140. It was the same thing. He wasn't exactly the most active fighter there, but because of the fact that of how Matisse fights, he did make Garcia look a little bit more active. But even in that fight, Garcia never pushed the pace. He was content on having the wrecking machine that is Matisse, Prime Matisse, go to him, and he excelled in that fight, Garcia, that is. So I think Spence actually saw that. Garcia missed with a big overhand right, just by a bit, and you could tell in Errol Spence's demeanor afterwards, like, oh shit, I gotta be careful because this guy counters with looping shots faster than I expect, and I don't want to take a risk. So he stuck to his jab, he stuck to his left hand to the body, which worked fantastic, and I think it was a sensational game plan and performance from Spence when it comes to winning the actual decision and doing better than anybody's done so far against Garcia. But there were some holes in there. Don't get it twisted. I was listening to the international version of the broadcast because we couldn't get the PBC broadcast here in Canada. But man, the commentators here, they were international commentators, they were awful. I think they were the same guys that were doing the Charlo Derevchenko fight a couple of weeks back or months back. I don't know their names, and I don't want to know their names because they were just not giving Garcia any credit. By the way, we got Jay on the line. Jay, are you there? Jay?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, guys?
Hey, we're doing fantastic, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on as usual.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I wanted to get your thoughts on the fight. Did anything surprise you from last night? I mean, I think most of us, and I think yourself as well, were picking Spence to win, but did it seem a little harder for Spence in certain aspects? Were you disappointed in certain things? Or give us your breakdown of what happened last night.
Well, disappointed because I thought Spence just showed him too much respect. He, like I've been pointing out for a long time now, he's a naturally bigger man dating all the way back to when he was a teenager. He was fighting several weight classes above this guy. He's the younger guy, barely over 30, versus a guy who's 32, who's getting long in the tooth, who's shorter, does not show any realm of super level knockout power at 147. Does not mean he can't punch at all. It just means he doesn't have one punch shot to turn a fight at 147, especially against the elite. And Julio Cesar Chavez, even Ray Leonard, who's not even the same kind of fighter, they go in and they prove a point. They tuck their chin in. They don't get hit clean on the chin, and they go to prove a point. And to me, Spence doesn't do that in his biggest fights. He didn't do it against Mikey Garcia. He didn't do it against Danny Garcia. And I don't think he'll do it against Bud Crawford. I think he'll try and... First of all, I don't think he'll beat Bud, but that's a story for another time.
Oh, whoa. I know. We know you're a big Crawford fan, right?
I like that my friend from Kentucky calls it that dog he has inside of him to want to prove how tough he is. Mm-hmm. And like his mom on Bud Crawford used to say, pay the kids in the neighborhood $10 if they could beat up her son. I think he's been bred to be a tough fighter, but that's a story for another time. I'm not disappointed that Spence won. I wasn't picking him to lose. I just wanted more from him. I wanted him to show that dog that I do see in Terence Crawford, and he didn't do it last night.
Well, to Gonzalo's point, Gonzalo, I'd like to bring you in here to comment on that because you do believe that Errol Spence made the right choice in not giving Angel Garcia, why do I keep saying Angel? Danny Garcia, too many opportunities to let those hooks go, right? So do you agree or disagree with what Jay just said?
It was his first fight back, and I thought it was a better performance than the Mikey Garcia fight. He dominantly beat Danny Garcia. He outboxed him maybe 9 rounds to 3, and I think he did a good job. He had him hurt, and could I expected more from him? Well, this is the best performance I've seen from Errol Spence, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gonzalo, that was Gonzalo, right?
Yes.
All right, Gonzalo. Yeah. You're not wrong. That doesn't mean I agree with everything at the same time because I wanted to see more from Spence. I wanted to see Spence push the gas pedal. I want to see him make Danny have to sit here and say, how much more of this do I want to take? And he didn't do that. He boxed well. You're completely right on that. Absolutely. But I wanted to see the bigger man impose his size, his will, his skill, his strength, and the power that all the writers were saying made him the second coming of the next all-time great welterweight, which he has not shown at the world-class level. I do know that when you step in competition, you can't knock everybody out. But so far, with the exception of fracturing Kelbrook's eye at the upper level against a featherweight, a junior welterweight, and Sean Porter, was a naturally bigger man in the amateurs, he's gone the distance every time, and he hasn't really hurt him very much. He knocks Porter down, but he really didn't stagger Danny very badly last night. He really didn't stagger Mikey much at all. And he's supposed to be the A+ of this era. And he's not showing me, he's showing me he's the best. Okay, but Marlon Starling was the best in his era. And nobody really tries to rate him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Matter of fact, Marlon Starling's still not in the Hall of Fame. If that gives you a barometer of where I'm gauging Spence down the road.
Right. Good points, man. Gonzalo, you want to say something about that?
He's got good power. The only thing about that, I don't know if Danny Garcia will ever be knocked out throughout his career. Mikey, he was a smaller guy, but same thing. He's never been stopped. I don't know. He's got good power, but we'll have to see.
Well, you know what, man? Look,
I'll finish this part right here real quick. Like, I'm a lefty. You've made fun of me for that before, but one of the best combinations a lefty can do is when they have the foot on the outside like they're supposed to. You throw the left hook to the right hook to the body, and you bring it up to an uppercut and overhand or straight left. That combination was open all day for how squared up Danny was, and Spence just didn't look like he could even see that kind of a combination to put together. And I guarantee you that would have at least staggered Danny, if not actually put him down late in the fight, if he really would have sat on his punches. It's like he kept some mustard off to show that he could box and to fight cautiously, which I don't blame him to an extent, but he's not proving the point that these guys can't stain with me. And that's the point I want him to make, because I believe that he can do that, but he's not doing it.
Well, to be fair, man, like we mentioned before, Danny Garcia is one of the strongest guys, most durable guys in the welterweight division. I showed that clip of Thurman landing a bomb on him, overhand right, flush on the chin, moving, making Danny's body trash around the ring. And Garcia took it, composed himself, never went down, never appeared wobbled or anything, apart from being, that initial shock from the shot. So he's a durable guy. So I'm not surprised that Spence wasn't able to take him out. I do, however, agree with you, Jay, in the fact that I would have liked to have seen Spence maybe open up a little bit more. But on the other hand, if we know how dangerous Garcia is on those quick counters, I don't, and especially also since it's Spence's first fight back since the accident and more than a year off, I can see why I can respect the fact that he wanted to take the pedal off in this one. I do not forgive him, though, for the Mikey Garcia fight. He should have taken the smaller, slower, shorter guy out. There's no excuse for having that guy make it to 12 rounds. But in this one, here's the other thing, though, about that. Let's get into the Mikey Garcia fight. I keep bringing it up. Errol Spence said after the Garcia fight, it's because I wanted to show that I had boxing skills. That's why I boxed the way I did. And that's
against the featherweight. You had to show it against the featherweight.
Right. And his fans went with that. They kept saying, but he said he went to box. But then a year later on PBC, he said, on a PBC interview, he said, well, I could have stopped Porter and Garcia, but I wasn't in shape. So he's changed his tune. Before he said he went to box him, and then he said, I tried to stop him, but I didn't have the stamina. So now when he said that, it makes me question, did he not go after Garcia last night because maybe again he's not training that hard? Maybe his gas tank is overrated and it's not he's not the late round destroyer that we thought. Because again, looking back at the Brook fight, I'm talking out loud here. I'm not necessarily saying this is the scenario, but Brook was, coming down from middleweight, boiling himself down to 147. He just come off a beating from Golovkin, no tune-up, and he couldn't make it the 12th round. So maybe that Brook fight was a little bit of a mirage in terms of letting us know how vicious Spence can be. Because also Lamont Peterson was already past his peak when he got taken out. So I mean, I'm just saying, is that a possible scenario that maybe Spence was a little bit overrated, or like, what do you fellas think?
I'll let Gonzo go first on that one.
Well, look, many times Mayweather is praised for outpointing his opponents by one punch here, one punch there, going the distance while boxing on the back foot. Errol Spence is beating guys by wide margins like he did Mikey Garcia by outpointing them pretty much every round. And while coming forward, while landing hard shots. So, I mean, if you compare this guy against the other guy, while the other guy's considered an all-time great, you can't really be too harsh on Errol Spence. He boxed Danny Garcia. He won 9 or 8 rounds out of 12. And he was dominant while still coming forward, not on the back foot, pressing the fight, looking to land his shots while facing the fact that he could get hit back as well, going into Danny Garcia's wheelhouse, into the danger zone. So I can't be too harsh on the guy. It's his first fight back, and that's all I have to say about that, man. Errol Spence showed me that he's got a great jab, that he comes in with his hands high, that he keeps his elbows tucked. He keeps his shoulders high, protecting his chin. He walks forward. He's a left-handed fighter that can belt you to both sides of the body, particularly the liver. One thing that Danny Garcia couldn't do, only belting Errol Spence to the right side of the body. So, I mean, the guy's got the tools to break you down. He's not getting it done yet, and what you're saying raises a lot of questions. Because an aggressive fighter like Julio Cesar Chavez will always break down and beat an opponent by the 8th or 9th round. He would get a lot of knockouts. But he wasn't facing the greatest competition either. Always, even though he had over 100 fights, Errol Spence, he's not breaking these guys down like I wish he could. But, I mean, maybe we'll see it later.
Yeah, again, it was Danny Garcia. Let's put into perspective. It wasn't a bum out there that he was fighting. It was a guy who's never really been beaten up that much. So go ahead, Jay. You want to say?
So you're saying the danger zone, and I'm coming back with really, because, I mean, what world-class welterweight has Danny even hit? I mean, I don't even consider Lamont Peterson a world-class welterweight. I don't think he was world-class level welterweight at all. He was barely an A fighter, maybe an A- fighter at junior welterweight. All right, so, and Danny Garcia couldn't do anything with him. He didn't hurt him. He didn't stagger him. He didn't knock him down. He hasn't shown the punch that gets you is the one you don't see. We can run that one into the ground. But when you're digging in and you're putting these shots together, the B fighters go down. They get knocked out. The A fighters go the distance and they win. So I don't think for a second that the danger zone for Errol Spence, if he's as mentally tough as we think he is, that he should have had to worry about that. With his guard held high, the natural gifts that he has, everything you said is A+ spot on. He's a highly skilled fighter. He should be not just an A+ fighter. He should be dominating this division. I don't think these guys are tough enough to take his power. I'm not trying to tear down Danny Garcia, but if you put more stuff on Danny won't want to quit, but the corner might have to say stop. If you put enough on it.
If I can interject here,
he wasn't putting enough on there to do that. That is my point.
If I can interject here, Gonzalo, if I can interject just real quickly, because Jay, you mentioned who has Garcia shown, against whom has he shown world-class power at welterweight? When he fought Spence last night, I think he showed power, man, because you could see Spence was weary of that power, especially when he threw that right to the body. He was bending him over, even more than Brook did.
That's another thing is that I think like Mike Tyson, that the weakness to Spence is the body, and everyone can come back with, nobody takes body shots well. Well, Holyfield did. Tyson did not. Bo took him pretty well. Lewis took him pretty well. Chavez took him pretty well. Duran took him pretty well. Hagler took him pretty well. The list can go on. Now, if you let someone wear your body all night, yeah, you'll break down. But
that's kind of a mistake what you're saying, Jay, because you can be a world class fighter and still not have the greatest chin. You could be a Terry Norris. He's a dynamo on the fucking throwing.
You just mentioned one of my favorites.
Yeah, you can be very powerful, but you might be a world class fighter on your offense, but you might not necessarily take the greatest shot. I'm not saying that.
Then you build your style around that to where you don't get hit, which is what he does. He, like you said, his hands are held high, his elbows are in. The technique is there. Now put the pressure. Now bring the pressure. He doesn't bring the pressure to make the other fighter want to quit on the higher level.
But you know what, Danny Garcia, he's got a good chin. But you know what, he knows. Look, I don't know Danny Garcia. I never seen him, but I know that Danny Garcia's got power. My intuition tells me he got power, even though he's not knocking these guys out, man. Especially those short shots that you don't see coming when he lets his hands fly. Those are the ones that hurt. Danny Garcia landed one of those early on in the fight, and in the 10th round, he landed a hell of a right hook that I think buckled Errol Spence. Errol Spence, he hit it well. So I mean, Danny Garcia's got power, man.
Danny Garcia caught.
Hold on, D. Hold on. You can't just come in because we're having a Gonzalo and D. I mean, Gonzalo and Jay are having a little bit of a discussion here. I'll get to you in a second, D. Jay, you want to respond or?
No, I mean, we can go roundabout and pretty much say the same thing in different ways all night long, which is exactly what we're doing. I take nothing away that Spence won, but here's the thing: he should have won. And when you're mentioning some of these other guys like Julio Cesar Chavez and guys like that, when they went in against the Danny Garcia, they proved the point. Edwin Rosario was basically a Danny Garcia type fighter. He was hot and cold. He could beat a lot of guys. If you're a B plus fighter, he knocked you out. And Chavez went in there and put an ass whooping on him that he never forgot. And he put such a whooping on him that after the 10th round, he jogged back to his corner and sat down and kicked his legs up because he was having a good time. Spence is not doing that at this level. He's not doing that at this level.
He did put an ass whooping on Danny Garcia, Jay. But look, you got a fighter that's got a good chin, that's coming forward, that's gonna come in, and he's probably gonna take your punch while he's not throwing many punches. So like I was telling BDA, while Errol Spence is shooting his load, he's saving himself to catch Spence in between with the counter punch. So he got a good chin. He gets close at distance.
He waits his turn. And you're right about
that. He's waiting his turn. And he relies on his chin, so he can take what you got to throw. So when you're done throwing what you're going to throw, he can come right back with the counter shot. So that's always going to be a dangerous fighter.
When the guys that are at the upper level that everyone says, you don't even have to vote to make them in the Hall of Fame, go up against the Danny Garcia, they put an exclamation point on it that doesn't go a predicted 12 rounds. They go in there to make that effort. Well, all right, Barrera against Morales. Morales was in that fight, but Barrera took it to him so hard that there's no doubt about the fact that the judges got it wrong that night. That Barrera won that fight because he took it to him and he put him against the ropes and he took everything he had and he hit him harder. You hit me harder, I'm going to hit you even harder than that. Keep hitting me as hard as you want to because I'm not going anywhere. I'm on top of you. And that's not what Spence is doing. And that's my point. Nothing you're saying, Gonzalo, is wrong. Nothing you're saying is completely wrong. My perspective is that for him to be as great as this hype that he received coming out of the amateurs, he needs to start stopping these world-class guys, and he's not doing it.
All right, now, before we continue, we got D and Recognize on the line. Just to bring you fellas up to speed, I don't know if you've been listening to the show, but we're having a nice little discussion here about last night's fight. Gonzalo believes that Errol Spence did the correct thing, more or less, in not putting too much pressure later on against Garcia, because of Garcia's quick counters and power. Jay feels that if Spence is as good as people are making it out to be, he really should have applied more pressure and tried to take Garcia out of there. Now, he's not... Jay, just to clarify, you're not criticizing the fact that he didn't take him out, but just that you wanted to see him push the pedal a little bit more.
I wanted to see him try to take him out. It's not the fact... I mean, what he did was spot on. There was nothing wrong. It was a win. It was a win against a solid opponent. And I don't give Danny Garcia as much credit as people want to hear, not because I don't like him, but because he's almost like most of a gatekeeper of the division. He doesn't beat the elite welterweights.
Okay.
Because with Spence supposed to being the cream of the crop, I think that he should have pushed the pedal. I think everything Gonzalo says is right. He did everything right. He clearly won the fight. But I want to see him push harder. I want to see him want to put a beat down. I want to see him put a smile on his face when he's beating somebody up like B-Hop used to do.
All right, fair enough. Let's get to D. D, thank you for being on. You heard the discussion. What are your thoughts on last night's fight and what the discussion that we're having here?
Well, this is the way I look at it. Where I understand what's your name, guy? The guy that's on now.
Jay.
I don't think I'm Jay.
My name's Jay. We've talked once or twice before, D. Good to see you. Good to hear from you again.
Okay, brother. I get where he's coming from, but when I'm on my channel and I'm doing lives and I get people that start to come have like discussions similar to this with me, I always say this. What he's responding to is to me the mindset of a fanboy. See, I'm a huge Spence fan, and I don't look at these things like, oh, he's going to knock this guy out. When it came to the Porter fight, I see he's not going to stop Porter. When it came to the Mikey Garcia fight, I was right on IBFP Boxing, and I said it's a good possibility he doesn't stop Mikey. So if you go at this boxing game from the mindset of a groupie or a fanboy, and you probably say, well, yeah, if you're saying he fences this and fences that, then he needs to go do this. But if you go from boxing, he doesn't really necessarily have to do that. Because if you look at Terence Crawford, right, at 147, first and foremost, he hasn't had the opportunity to face one of the top 5 guys to be able to stop them in the ring for whatever reason. Because Allen don't want to send those guys over in danger, or Bob doesn't want to sign the contract and pay the money, whatever reason. He hasn't had the opportunity to do it. But when you look at 140, where he cleaned out the division, yeah, he stopped guys, but the first level of competition that Crawford faced at 140 and Victor Postile, he went to decision. At 135, when he went to Beltran, he went to decision. So Crawford still is staked in as one of these great fighters. So you don't necessarily have to go in there and stop all these guys. But what you do have to do is go in there and win. If you're looking at it as these fucking groupies and fanboys putting Spence up like he's fucking Deontay Wilder at 147 or something, then yeah, you would expect a stoppage. But I've never looked at him like that. I've always said Spence is the kind of guy that gets in there, breaks you down, breaks your will, and puts you away. Or he'll get in there, break you down, break your will, and win the fight. Either way, that's the sign of a champion to me.
Well, so I thought he went in and won the fight. The other part that you said of break the will and everything else, I didn't see happen last night. And that has a lot to do with Danny Garcia's will. It's hard to break. But like I'm saying, when we're talking about guys of yesteryear, some of those guys, in some of these fights, you didn't think they could break the will, but they did. And Spence hasn't done it yet. And maybe he can't. And maybe he won't reach that level.
I think that's a perspective, though, Jay, because I believe he did break Danny's will. If you look at that fight earlier, Danny was more game to engage, let his hands go, and try to go combinations on Spence. And as he start feeling those body punches, and Spence hurt Danny as well, with a hook upstairs too. So when Danny felt those things, it intimidates you. See, when a guy can throw something to deter you from what you planning on coming there and doing. Your game plan is to come in there and rough this guy up. He's been in an accident. I want to take control. That is breaking the will. That's Danny wanted to. Even his dad said you should have let your hand go, and Danny really had no answers for that. The reason he didn't, because what was going to come back. So his will was to go in there and just demolish Spence, right? Just run over top of this guy. He's been fucked up. He's been tossed out of a fucking car and kissed the pavement, knocked all his teeth out of his mouth. I'm gonna knock the rest out. That was the idea of it, but that was broken down by what was coming back.
You know what? I agree with you. I don't think he needed to knock Garcia out. I mean, nobody, like I said in the beginning of the show, no one's gonna be knocking this guy out unless it's with one shot that he doesn't see coming and they just laid him out cold. I mean, this guy took a bomb from Keith Thurman in the first round when he was more or less cold, and he took it and brushed it off. So I don't think anybody's out there is going to be running through this guy. That being said, I would have liked to have seen Spence try to lay a beating on him the way Peterson did in their fight. But also the other thing is, and this is the difference between classes of fighters. Danny Garcia, I don't think he got his will broken last night. I think it's just he fought the way he always fought. I mean, on Wednesday's show, I don't know how many of you guys saw it who weren't there that day. I mean, but we were talking about the keys to victory for Garcia. And one of the main keys was that everything that we were talking about was predicated on him letting his hands go. And we said it's unlikely he's going to do it because he's never done it before. So it's unlikely that all of a sudden he's going to turn into this high volume guy. And again, just like he did against Thurman, just like he did against Porter, like he did against Herrera and even an old Morales in 2011. Didn't let his hands go when he needed to. When he needed to push the pedal, he didn't do it. And he wasn't going to do it against Errol Spence, who was snapping that jab in his face. Would I like to have seen Spence put a bit more pressure? Absolutely. But it's also, I think he realized, man, this guy hits harder than people think, man. I mean, you can, look, let's put this to rest, man. The whole Garcia doesn't have power. The guy can crack. Okay, he's not going to knock out the A-listers in the division, but he hits hard enough so that he gets the respect. So, all in all, I think it was
BDA,
yeah.
Julio Cesar Chavez wasn't knocking out Rocky Lodrich, Juan Laporte. He wasn't knocking those guys out. He was winning on points. You know, Salvador Sanchez wasn't knocking everybody out. If you go back and watch his fights, he wasn't knocking everybody out.
Okay, I got a response to that when Gonzalez is done. Not to interrupt you, I want to hear it.
Well, go ahead, Jay, and then I got to get to recognize. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Jay. And then, yeah.
That's basically it, man. Different fights. These middleweights are knocking everybody out. You're not always going to get the knockouts, man.
But they go out to beat the guys up. They go out to beat them up. They go out to really beat them up. Not to just, okay, I beat them up because I have longer punches and snap on the end. They went in there and beat them up because that's what they do. They were I'm gonna knock you out, or I'm gonna win the fight by beating you up. That is not what Spence has done. Nobody on this board can convince me of that. With all due respect to everybody, that's not what he's doing. And that's the bottom line on my thing.
Well,
he beat Viking 12-0.
The thing with that is these are not the opponents that you're going to do that with. You're charging Spence for not stopping Porter and Danny Garcia when no one has done that. This is what you're literally doing up here, fam. You're charging Spence with something that no one has done, fam. I can see if this was a guy that has been stopped before. Even if you look at Mikey, no one has stopped these guys. No one. You're basically charging Spence. I don't see him doing this. But you've seen no one do it. Nobody.
All right, to be fair, Jay didn't say he wanted to see Spence stop him. He said he wanted to see him put a little bit more of a beating on him later on. Not necessarily knocking him out.
He gave him a nice beating.
All right, now we got to recognize. All right, hold on. We got to recognize. Hold on. Please. We got to recognize online. Recognize you were one of the people that when people were calling out on Wednesday saying Spence was going to wipe the floor with Garcia, you were one of the guys that said Garcia was actually going to be a little bit of a harder fight than expected.
Of course he was.
But did the fight unfold like you expected? Is there anything that surprised you? Anything that didn't surprise you? Like, give us your breakdown of what happened.
Okay, look. Pretty much nothing surprised me. Spence won like I thought he was going to win. Okay? He was going to win a UD, and it was going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of rounds that are competitive. Why? Danny Garcia is a counter puncher. Okay? Let me say that again. He is a counter puncher.
A counter puncher.
He waits for you. That's right. He waits for you, and he tries to nail you with a good shot, right?
Right.
That's what he did. He did several times. Spence responded like the warrior I know he is after the Porter fight. The Porter fight, and really, you could go back to even the Kell Brook fight. Mm-hmm. Porter, but especially in the Porter fight, what made me a fan of his was you hit him, he hits you back, he tries to hit you 2-1. Of course, he's going to get resistance back when you're fighting elite level fighters. Now, you may not like Danny, but I dare you go in there and disrespect Danny and watch him break your face. Okay? And what I mean by disrespect, I'm going to still wing, and I'm not going to care about his punches. You do that, and you'll get your face broken by Danny Garcia. Okay? So you have to be cautious and aware of the incoming. To me, Spence proved that he is a great fighter at welterweight. Again, he's got 3 good wins, but really 2 good wins when you consider that at the stage these guys were in. And that's Sean Porter and that's Danny Garcia. And the reason why I say Danny Garcia, why do I say that? Because Danny Garcia came to win. He presents a style that can win him a fight. Okay? You disrespect Danny Garcia, he'll put you to sleep. You have to understand that. He is a counter puncher. He actually did some of the things that we thought he should have done, BDA, which was trying to fight him at mid-range, go to the body. He did all that. It's just that Spence is that good. Spence is better. That's all it is.
But you know what surprised me?
Recognize?
But you know what surprised me, recognize about the body shots was, then I'll let you go, Gonzalo. But one thing that surprised me about the body work, recognize, was the straight right. Yeah. I mean, of all the things that we said he wasn't actually going to do was throw a straight shot, and he actually did throw a straight right to the body. And I wish he would have thrown more of that to the body.
You know who could have knocked out in the history of the welterweights since I've been watching it? You know who could have knocked out Danny Garcia? I'm going to name them. Okay, this is no knock towards Spence, who I think would have knocked him out.
Right.
Okay, that is Sugar Ray Leonard and maybe Tito Trinidad.
Like Tommy Hearns,
and maybe Pacquiao by accumulations, just too much. You know, he's bruised all over the face.
I agree. Let's add Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Robinson to the list because those guys would.
Well, Tommy Hearns, Tommy Hearns. Is like
let me say two.
I'd also add one.
Let me say something.
Hold on, fellas. Hold on. Let's not get too crazy now. We're just starting out. Let's go to Gonzalo and then we'll go to D, and we got to get to our rival too, who just jumped in. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yes, I'll keep it short. Look, okay, Errol Spence, he won. He is the better welterweight. But you know what Danny Garcia did well in this fight? He was very mobile. He was circling to the left. He applied good footwork, and he was thinking. He's a thinking fighter that can fight throughout the course of 12 rounds. Maybe he didn't have all the ideas. He didn't to beat Spence. But up to like the 10th and 11th, you could see his brain was still looking for the openings that he couldn't land. But he was still thinking in there. Danny Garcia, he might be limited in some ways, but he still got some crap and can box throughout the course of the whole battle.
Exactly. People underrated.
BDA, I wanted to mention something really quick.
Go ahead.
A quick little smack on the wrist on Errol Spence, right?
Go ahead.
And I just take this up to ring rust and everything like that, right? I thought he was a little too stationary. I thought he could have used better footwork, like I've seen him use in the past. It's not fancy, but he was a little too stationary. But that's my only criticism of him. Everything else could be fixed pretty easy, including the him being somewhat stationary.
He also needs to stop wearing trunks with fur on them. That I don't know, for some reason that unsells me. All right, go ahead, D.
Let me get this off.
Would you stop saying that? Let me get this off. It sounds dirty, man. But go ahead.
First is the Kell Brooks situation. Listen, man, I understand Kell Brooks was beaten up by Triple G, all of that, this, that, and the third. But I don't like the slight of credit Spence gets for the Kell Brooks win. And I'm going to say why. Two main reasons why. Number one, Spence going over there to the UK in that environment and beating Kell Brooks. But number two with the Kell Brooks situation is when we look at the atmosphere of those other guys, I'm not sure any of those other guys beat Kell Brooks, even in that situation.
Good point. That's a good point.
In that fight. Like, one of these? He already beat Sean Porter at the time. It was Danny Garcia and it was Keith Thurman at the time. I think Kell Brooks beats those guys or put a damn good fight up doing it. So I think Spence deserves full credit for that Kell Brooks fight. That's 1, 2, 3. Kell Brooks, Danny Garcia, and Sean Porter.
I slided him a little bit just to make the argument good, but you're right. I think that when you take all that into consideration, you're right. So he really has 3 solid wins at welterweight.
My man. And the second thing I wanted to say was about the Mikey Garcia situation. And this is going to play. I'm not going to let this die because I kept telling everyone, just because you guys don't want to give Spence credit for showing you boxing against Mikey Garcia doesn't mean he can't do it. Because every time I used to mention that, he did show that he can box. He showed it with that was just a little 130-pounder. Well, now, all of you guys that used to say that, can it? Because he showed it against a top 147-pound guy. He outboxed him, coming off of a fucking accident and over a year layoff. So can it? I don't want to hear the Mikey shit. He's been showed you guys that he can box. Well, now it will sink in because he did it against a valid 147-pounder. So now it sinks in. Spence can box.
From my perspective, I never criticized Spence for not being able to box. I knew he could box after the Peterson fight, but the fact that he didn't take out the shorter, slower, smaller Michael Garcia, and he said after the fight, I want to show my boxing skills. And then a year later, he changed his tune. He said, well, I couldn't stop Garcia because I wasn't in shape. So which one is it? Either he tried to outbox the guy, or
about all of that, BDA. I'm talking about the.
I know, but I'm saying I know, but I'm just adding my own perspective on it. But I agree. Look, listen, people that don't think that Spence can box, or that there's still an asterisk about who the best welterweight is, on paper, man, absolutely, it's Errol Spence, man. Now, can he beat Terence Crawford? We're gonna get to that. But to say that Spence is not the best welterweight, you gotta be insane. But hold on, I'm getting lost here. All right, give me 2 seconds, fellas. I gotta read a couple of super chats, and then we're gonna get back to you, fellas, and then we gotta open up the phone lines because people wanna speak their mind here. No, I don't want to steal your lines there, D, but that's what it is.
No, it's worldwide, universal, brother.
All right, shout out to Michael Poe, who says Spence seemed fine and looking good. All right, that sounded sexual as well, but maybe that's just my dirty mind. But yeah, shout out to you, Michael Poe. Spence came back from more than a year layoff and an accident, no tune-up, and outboxed Danny Garcia. You got to give him credit for that. Shout out to Julio Ochoa as well, who said PBC should give the titles to Spence's steroids. Oh, come on. All right, we're going to get to that later. Michael Poe again says, did you check out the Usyk interview, BDA? No, I have not yet, Michael Poe, but I'm going to check it out. I know you left a comment on that, so I'm going to check that out. Thanks to everybody who donated with the super chat. Yeah, you guys, I got to buy some new underwear because the other one I got is starting to get thin. All right, let's get back to the panel. Let me go to Jimmy first because he got here first. And then
You
forgot a rival.
I know, but because Jimmy got here first, actually, according to my panel, so I got to get to Jimmy first, and then we'll get to Mark. All right, Jimmy, go ahead, man.
Well, no, has Mark been waiting longer? You said, brother.
You've been actually.
No, Jimmy was on before me. Jimmy was on before me, but look at me.
However you guys want to do it, you guys decide.
All right, no, let him fire away, bro. I'll wait.
Fantastic.
No, I'll wait, bro. I'll wait. I'm eating.
Hey, fuck.
Oh, okay, all right. Then I'll just say real quick. Listen, I didn't need to see him fight Danny Garcia to know Errol is an elite welterweight. One, in my opinion, two of the top. It's between him and Crawford. Let's just not dance around it. Where I differ from everybody else's opinion is where I rate Danny Garcia is fucking horrible.
Oh, come on,
He's
man.
horrible, dude. He's fucking horrible. Dude, he was his own father who was not a boxer. He's like, God damn, dude. He just kept doing the same thing. And then when the Zipperhead finally decided to throw in exchanges, I think they actually stood in the pocket and whipped hands at each other 4 or 5 times for real. 4 of the times, Spence bailed first. It wasn't Danny bailing because Danny's got a cement head. Why doesn't he use it? That's his best weapon. Is that fucking kid? You can hit him with a cement truck. You know what I mean? He got his knee wobbled a couple times, but Spence felt a few of those shots too. His eyes, he did a few fucking open eye blinks after a couple of Danny shots. But just Danny wouldn't do anything. He just wouldn't fucking the same. But it's the same story over and over and over. This fucking kid is lost every time the same way, every time he steps up, because he just doesn't have the ability to fucking move around. Any movement fucks him up. And because, listen, the reason why he's a counterpuncher, because he doesn't have the skills to move forward. He can't set traps. He doesn't know how to step outside people's feet. He doesn't know how to fucking lead anything off. He does everything out in front of him, to the body, straight to the body or whatever, but it's all counter. And another enforces the counter is the fact that most of the time, I would guarantee 90% of fucking people who will fight, if they just go mano a mano, he's going to stand there longer because that dude's a cement head. But, dude, everything else, his footwork was fucking horrible. He was making I don't know, man. I'm telling you right now. Thank God. Listen, I don't know how that thing was live on YouTube. Like within 45 minutes, it was over. Some dude had it up, and I watched it. But dude, if I pay $74 for that fucking fight was boring as fuck. There's nothing exciting about that, and it reflects that on Twitter too. I thought I was being maybe just fucking a little harsh. I went on Twitter. I'm like, wow, no, I guess not. I mean, even like Steve Kim was like, no, it's definitely something you're not going to rewatch. You know what I mean? And
okay, but
you know what I mean? It's just not that type of fight.
Well, let me say this, man.
And I did. And can I just say one thing, man?
Yes.
I do take issue with the fact he didn't stop Mickey Garcia. Mickey Garcia has, he's been put to the ground, but he is so much bigger than him. Why didn't he just stand in a pocket and tattoo that fucking kid? He
Well,
just
he tried
refused to do
late.
that too. Why is that? I just leaves me asking why. And then I watched him bail first last night with Danny. As the kid questioned his chin.
All right.
But
Well, listen, I
anyways, that's
think
my
that
thing.
that's fine. That's fine. But listen, I don't want to get into the Mikey Garcia fight, but in terms of Danny Garcia being horrible, people keep saying that. I read some comments
Somebody just
too.
yell over me.
No, I also heard, or read rather, people are saying, oh, Danny Garcia now he's a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper is a guy that can only test the guys that are going into the top 10 of a division. Danny Garcia can beat some of the bottom guys in the top 10 right now. He just can't beat the upper 5. And part of that is because, like you said, he won't let his hands go. But like you also said, that's been the story of his career. He's got the firepower to do it, but for some reason, either he doesn't have confidence in his stamina, or he really doesn't have the stamina, or maybe it's a technique, I don't know. But his father told him, you got to go out there and let your hands go. And he didn't do it, just like he didn't do it in the Thurman fight, and just like he didn't do it in the Porter fight. That's just his demeanor. You can't change that. I mean, maybe money could change it, I don't know. But to expect Danny Garcia now to go in there and fight like Marcos Maidana, just throw caution to the wind, we're not going to see it. Now, before we continue, I want to...
Stanima, though, real quick, Stanima, I thought was, even the 12th round, he was throwing hard. He was standing right up into the last 10 seconds. Right. He didn't seem to be breathing from his mouth. He seemed to be all right in that department.
They both were fine stamina-wise.
Oh, yeah, Spence was up on his toes. Listen, Spence is a fucking phenomenal welterweight. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a great fighter, quick reflexes, got a nice jab. I just don't think he's the dog people think he is. I just don't think he's the killer people think he is. That's all.
All right, before we continue,
my fucking gut feeling.
Before we continue, shout out to Michael Poe, who just donated again with the super chat, and he says, "Merry Christmas, get those underwear." Shout out to Michael Poe, thank you, man, appreciate it. I will be getting those underwear. Also, shout out to Chris K, who says Spence's pointy pepperonis are pound for pound great. Yeah, man, those pepperoni nipples, man, there's something wrong there, man. But I don't want to get into it right now. Julio, shout out to then Chris K for his contribution, aka Undercover Asian, and shout out to Julio Ochoa, who says, "I saw a still photo of Spence and he had muscles on his muscles. Spence had a muscle on the side of him that looked like gills on a great white shark." And hey, let me tell you, man, shout out to Julio Ochoa, and also Spence has the personality of a great white shark. The guy's got no range. He's boring outside the ring. So, I just want to say something, because I heard some people complaining on Reddit and message boards. They were saying, oh, because Crawford was in the crowd, and they wanted to see Crawford step into the ring and sort of like, do a wrestling thing where they face off. Look, both guys have the personality of comrades. Nobody wants to see them. Nobody wants to touch them outside the ring. If you put them in the ring and tell them to act up, it's going to look fake. It's not going to look genuine. It's going to look cringy. So no, I don't want to see two guys with no personality attempt and act like tough guys, like tough wrestlers, and try to put on a promo. It ain't going to work, man, with these guys. You got to go with their strengths, and their strengths are inside the ring, not outside. Shout out to Julio Ochoa, again, also contributing again with the super chat. Says, Danny Garcia versus Virgil Ortiz or Jerome Ennis next. All right, yeah, fantastic, man. Absolutely, yeah. We can talk about those potential matchups later on. Shout out to Julio Ochoa. Let's get to Mark, who's been waiting on the sidelines for a while. Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
All right,
I enjoyed the fight, man. I slightly enjoyed the fight. Hey, hold on. Oh, whose mic is that? Anyway,
just
yeah, I really enjoyed the fight. Thought it was really intriguing to see how they both fought. There was parts of it that made me go, Danny could have done a bit more, like Jimmy was mentioning in the exchanges, and Spence was bailing. But at the same point, those exchanges didn't happen an awful lot in the fight, really, because Spence wasn't allowing them to happen too often. He'd go in there and he'd get out before the exchange could really start more often than not, because Danny was just looking to counter. Earlier, people were you guys were talking about like how many people would be able to knock him out. Danny Garcia. There was only one name I thought was missing, which would have been a prime Mark Breland. Might have been able to knock him out clean with one shot, because that dude hit like an absolute train. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think I've got Spence myself rated number one. I think he deserves it. He's proven way more. I think a lot of Crawford's fans are going a bit overboard, because they're all like, "Oh no, our guy! Look who we beat!" Like I'm thinking to myself, and this isn't even a slight. I know Jimmy just said like Danny Garcia is horrible, but wouldn't Danny Garcia right now be Terence Crawford's #1 opponent probably in his career. Probably.
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah,
Well,
but at welterweight, it's not.
No, at welterweight, at welterweight, who has he beat? Danny Garcia's never beat anybody at welterweight. Redgrass,
I'll tell you
Granados.
this. I'll
I
tell
agree with
this.
you, dude. I agree with everything you say, Mike. I'm not arguing with you, bro. Don't get me wrong. No, listen, Danny, what's the name, hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't got the names on his record, and that's just, to argue that is silly. But one thing he does do, dispenses them with ruthless fucking efficiency when he does fight them. That's what he's been doing with those guys in welterweight.
I don't think it's that silly, because if you take context is pivotal in any shape, maker, form, or fighter. Danny Garcia is a medium level resume. So is most of Crawford's resume at welterweight. Like Amir Khan's welterweight resume is honestly pretty gash, and 5 years ago. Same with Kell Brooks.
Welterweight, you're right. You're right. No, I'm sorry, but you're right. Danny would be his best win right now at welterweight. I'd agree.
Yeah, because if you start comparing Danny Garcia to Benavidez and Kavaliauskas had a draw with Ray Robinson before that fight.
And that's arguably the best win on his resume as a welterweight. Terence Crawford.
Look,
Kavaliauskas.
this is the thing right here. Terence Crawford is a phenomenal fighter. Terence Crawford has not been able to prove it at 147. You just gotta accept this shit, man. Terence Crawford, Spence literally has 3 guys. Even Kell Brook, although Terence Crawford fought Kell Brook, and let's be reasonable about it. He didn't fight the Kell Brook that we all know from back then. So he basically has 3 fights that are outside of Terence Crawford's level at 147. That initial Brook fight, the Sean Porter fight, and the Danny Garcia fight. No conversation. Like it's literally no conversation, fam. At that level. Crawford's not fought anyone at that level. He's fought 3 guys at that level already. 3 guys that you can comfortably say was in the top 5 at the welterweight division when Spence fought them. Kell Brook definitely wasn't at the top of any goddamn division when Terence Crawford fought him. Not 147 or 154 when he was fighting. He was at the top of nothing. None of these guys were. And this is the whole thing. Like, I believe that Terence Crawford is as talented as he's supposed to be. He's shown power at 147. He's shown the ability to move. But if we're going to slap guys like Deontay Wilder for knocking guys out but not doing it to the top level competition, we still have to say the same about Crawford. Just because he can do this to a Jeff Horn who can't box a damn gift doesn't mean he's going to be able to do it to a higher level opponent.
Jay, I know you're the resident Crawford guy. In terms of you're in his camp when it comes to a fight against Spence, you want to take that one?
Well, when you start to get into that, then you have to start asking the questions that we're not going to go into here. And why aren't these fights happening? Because it's not because Top Rank hasn't been sending contracts. Carl Moretti actually said on 2 different interviews he sent him to Danny Garcia when Danny Garcia became the #1 contender. That fight didn't happen. Sean Porter even said
he walked away. He didn't even try to negotiate that Danny Garcia. He turned around, he walked away. He didn't even send a counter offer back. He just said that's not enough money and didn't respond. What the fuck kind of negotiation is that? That's the problem I have with Danny Garcia and a lot of these guys that's talking that crazy shit. You guys didn't attempt to fight Crawford. And that's why I say that Crawford didn't have the opportunity to prove it at 147.
So you and I are on the same page on that, D. You're very fair on his record and resume on who he has not fought, and you're absolutely right. But it's not because he didn't want to fight anybody. It's not because he's been dodging, ducking, walking away, or turning things down.
Hell no.
And that some people on the PBC bandwagon are saying that he dodged Sean Porter, but if you remember correctly, Sean Porter had the WBC, and I quote, "I'm not going to call Terence Crawford out." So that's directly
it went back and forth with them. It went back and forth with them, Jay. Sean Porter, he didn't do the call out. Then they mutually agreed. Now Crawford's turn. He didn't accept. So what the fuck ever, man. It's the same situation with Demetrius, Andre, and fucking Jacobs. They need to fight too. Like, come on with this shit, man. It's all crazy.
Yeah, and who's suffering is us, the fans. You know what I mean? We need to see some of these fights because we're the paying customers. moving back onto the fight at hand, on what do I think what happened, I think that even though I still think that, in my opinion, based off of the body of work in the different divisions, that Terence Crawford would still be the best name on Spence's resume if they fight. That you guys can argue that all you want to, and it's debatable. It's debate. If you see against it, I perfectly respect it, but that's my opinion.
That's not debatable. That's not
I don't
debatable.
think that's
He
a
would be the
debate.
best.
I don't think
That's
that's
not
a
a debate. He
debate.
would be
That's
Spence's best.
fucking hands down. He's the best by far. No fucking question. Like, if anybody debate that, they're a fucking idiot. That's what I'll tell you that right now.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah,
idiots out there.
that'd be pretty stupid. That'd be pretty
Yeah.
stupid to debate that.
But
Wait, to debate what?
On the flip side, it would definitely be the same thing for Crawford. Spence would definitely, by far, be the greatest name on his resume. So,
I mean, the only question would be Victor Poster, and I couldn't put Poster over Spence.
Oh, hell
To
no.
me, that's outside of
That's
Spence.
not a question at that stage. It's not a question at this.
All right,
So-
it's not a question. Yeah.
the only
That
thing
fight
to
has to happen.
The only thing
Just
to add to that
asking.
was last night when the fight was over, the interview that I did see on YouTube. I didn't watch a lot of them. I just saw the press conference. I didn't hear Terence Crawford's names mentioned. And for the most part, it doesn't come out of Spence's mouth very much. And people will bring it up and he'll acknowledge it. He's not the one leading with that. Terence Crawford said since he left the junior welterweight division, he'll take them all on, but one of the first targets he had was Errol Spence. It's been Errol Spence. It's always been Errol Spence. And we're not getting it. And it doesn't
For
seem like
years.
the interest is the same. It doesn't seem like the interest is the same from Spence.
Before
let
we
me tell you-
continue,
Let me tell you this, because I just cleared this up with somebody earlier on a live I was doing. Now, if we're talking the same interview, because I've seen a couple of interviews where they cut the clip, but the interview in entirety, Spence actually answered and gave the same answer for 3 separate guys. Okay, they asked him about Crawford, and he said it clearly, and it's no denying it. He said, "Man, I'm not thinking about Crawford right now. I'm thinking about taking a couple of weeks off, spending time with my family, blah, 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 blah." But later in the interview, they asked him the same about Porter. Same response. They asked him about the possible Canelo fight. Same exact response. Right? And so my thing is with this, y'all not getting nothing out of me about my next opponent, no matter who it is.
So what I'm hearing from that is Al Heyman hadn't told me what to say yet.
And I definitely agree with that. I have no word from Al yet, so maybe y'all can ask him, but I fucking don't know.
all right, now listen,
I
fellas.
definitely agree with that one.
Fellas, let's get Stu in here because he just got in. And Stu, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the fight last night and what happened, and then we'll get to some phone calls. All right, Stu? So go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Garcia did what I said he would do. Absolutely nothing.
Don't make me laugh. Oh my God.
And this is the problem with Danny. I told you he was going to turn up, go through the motions, get his ass whooped, collect his check, and go home.
Well, I mean, but hold on. Now, you said that he didn't do anything. Spence couldn't run him over. So did Spence not do anything, or was it Garcia doing good enough so that Spence couldn't run him over?
Garcia's a schooled fighter. He knows what he's doing in there, but he just doesn't do it enough. And the problem is, he never looked like he was in control of that fight. He never looked like he was winning it. I mean, he'd have a little burst of punches, and then Errol would come back with something even better. It's just one-paced, wasn't it? Very one-paced, very predictable with his work. I mean, just look. I said this would happen. He's just not good enough to beat the top guys at welterweight. He's always going to hang around and go the distance, but just not good enough to win it.
Well,
I told you how he would perform, and he did.
Yeah, you did.
Just like I said.
Hey, Stu,
this is
full
something.
respect, Stu, because I can't stand when I call a fight exactly how it's going to go down. People don't give me the full respect. Full respect to you, Stu. You called it exactly like that. That's exactly how it went down.
Yeah, I even said Spence wide decision as well. I didn't feel like Spence would stop him because Spence. It was his first fight back from that car accident. He'd been out of the ring for a while. I didn't think he fought a lot better than I thought he would. It was Spence did what he had to do in there. It was a good performance from Spence. Just Danny Danny just was never in the fight for me, and he never was going to win it. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I just want to say that the reason why Stu gets away with saying I was right is because he gets, for some reason, he's the one that gets that shit on the most in the chat room. Although I will say now, Precise is catching fast because some people are shitting on Precise more than usual in the chat room. So, Stu, you got some competition there. Some people going after you and going after Precise. Now, I wanted to say something about Danny Garcia and what the future holds for him. But I see we're getting a lot of phone calls here, so let's get to them, and I'll let you guys handle a couple of them so that you don't get put out in the cold. Let's go to 443. Hold on a second, it's loading here. 443, you're on the air. 443, what's on your mind?
Gentlemen, how are you? I enjoyed the fight. I thought it
Troy
was. I thought it was just high level boxing. Spence was just a better fighter that night. And Danny showed a lot of skill. He did. I was impressed with what I saw about Danny, but I also saw that it's like he didn't have another gear or level to go to. But I think that he's outgrown his father as far as what his father could teach him. And maybe he could bring in, Buddy McGirt as an advisor. I'm not saying fire your father, but as an advisor to take him to another level. Because he does have the skill. I just think he's outgrown his dad, but he'll never leave his dad, But I enjoyed the fight. He should have gone to the body more. Maybe, he could have beat up Spence's arms a little bit more, by his arms and his hips, and that would have slowed him down. But I saw also that when he caught Spence with good shots, Spence moved. He definitely didn't want to get caught a second time or third time with a shot. So his power is really not in question. It's just that he doesn't have that level. His father can't take him to that next level, so he needs an advisor to come in to help him out with that. And I think he's still young, so he could be champion again if he gets another trainer to come in and help out.
Now, Troy, some people are saying, just real quick, some people are saying that Garcia, and they even asked Angel this, like, do you think it's time to move to 154? Would Danny Garcia be a little bit out of his depth at 154, considering there's some guys that are almost 6 feet tall, and he's actually more like 5 feet 8?
He's not good for 154.
I want to hear Troy's response, and then we'll get to you.
I don't think his body and his height would do him any justice at 154. I really don't think. I think he's better off where he is at 147. But with his stature and all that, I don't think he'd work out. Because basically what he's fighting is guys that sweat down from 180 and all that. They're all taller than him. They're all going to be stronger. So he can stay where he is and he'll accomplish more.
Mm-hmm. All right, D, go ahead, man.
No, I just I think that Danny Garcia, what Troy was saying, like I kind of agree. But one thing, Troy, I agree with a lot of what you said. I just don't think that the onus can be put on Angel, because how Angel didn't have the greatest instruction. He was telling them some things that were really beneficial, but at the end of the day, the fighters got to get in there and execute. And Danny Garcia wouldn't do it. I don't know if it was the fact that the shot Spence was throwing back was keeping him from doing that, but he wouldn't let his hands go in certain situations where, of course, it's easier from the outside looking in, but I've seen opportunities where he could have gotten 2 Spence and he had success. He just didn't continue it. And so sometimes in between the fights, when they were going to the Garcia corner, Angel was expressing this and Danny just wouldn't do it. So I got to take some of that pressure off Angel. Whether it's 154 or not, if you don't do what the trainers tell you to do when you're behind, especially, then you're going to face these troubles.
It's not that he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Can I add something to that, BDA, to Troy?
I don't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, and then we'll let Troy. Go ahead, and then we'll let Gonzalo reply back. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah. What I was saying, I don't think it's not that he wouldn't do it. When you reach a certain level and you constantly hear the same voice and all that, maybe he's not explaining it. I don't think his father has the tools to really bring anything else out of him. Whereas a well-seasoned trainer like a Buddy McGirt knows what he needs to do to bring that fighter to another level. I've seen it happen every time in the gym. Like you have fighters that will go so far that they get to the finals or whatever, and they'll lose every time. And you put in a trainer at a higher level, and they'll go past the finals into the championships and everything else. I've seen it happen. I just really think he's actually moved past his father, and he should really bring in a higher level fighter, and he would be a much higher level fighter because he has the skills. He has the skills. I see it. He definitely has the skills. But go ahead. Somebody wants to comment.
Well, first of all, we got hold on, Gonzalo. Before we go, Troy, we got to move on. We don't take more calls, but thank you for calling in, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man.
Okay.
All right, take it easy. All right, Gonzalo, go ahead, and then I got to take another phone call after this.
Yes, I agree with Troy. It's the physical dimensions, but particularly the style. The style that didn't translate so great for him from 140 to 47, which is counter punching, looking for that one shot. At 54 would be even worse. He would have to totally switch up his style. Even Marcus, who was more aggressive, didn't fight as well as welterweight he did at lightweight. So he would have to switch up his style, and that would have to be with the trainer.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
disastrous.
Jimmy, the trainer thing is tricky, right? Because after Canelo lost,
here's the thing with him, dude. Right, with his dad.
Let me just say real quick. Let me just say real quick.
Brother,
after Canelo lost to Mayweather, people kept saying, "Oh, he should change trainers," but that was one loss, and he's shown now that he didn't really need to switch trainers. But after a guy loses 3 times, plus other performances where his father can't seem to give him more advice other than "Pégale maduro, chico, pégale maduro," isn't it time to get a new trainer? What do you think about that, Jimmy?
Well, I've been saying for a long time that Danny's father's taken him as far as he can go. But with Danny, but I do agree with D. He wasn't even listening to what his father was saying. As limited the instructions his father was given, he wasn't even responding to that. And it was just a movement. It was Spence's movement giving him trouble. Spence just had too much movement. But with the problem with his father now, here it is. If you always look, there's always usually different cut men or different countermen with them, right? The reason being, Danny's father's a douchebag. And I'm not trying to be a funny guy. No, listen, his father's a dink, dude. Listen, you see the way he was just talking to the other kind? What are you doing? What are you doing? Put it on his face. He talks like to everybody like, and listen, Danny's his kid, and he gets violent. He's been violent in the gym when people talk to him about his kid. He's been that way since day one, and he's that way to this day. My point being, he would have to excommunicate his father. He would have to walk away and go to a totally different kid. His father's never going to share any kind of responsibility, and he will make sure he dominates the dude. It would be a fucking horror show. And Danny at them little T-Rex arms at 154, he can't fucking stop people at 147. If anything, that fool should be going back down to 140. But all right, you go, dude.
No, I'm with you, Jimmy. Danny at 154 is like Tank at 140. The dimensions are all wrong.
You know what, Jimmy? And the father doesn't even have positive energy. He's not even a good cheerleader. He doesn't even set a firecracker under his son's ass. He's speaking like very with a negative connotation, being a real Debbie Downer. And
dude, he did a fucking interview, Gonzalo. He did an interview. If that interview, a fucking DA and it was in a fucking Philadelphia paper said after seeing that interview, he said if that interview, I would have seen that within the 7 years of him making those remarks, I would have brought charges against him. Dude, he used to hold knives to his son's neck at 13 years old when he would go away on fucking tournaments and threaten to fucking kill him. And Danny sits there and jokes about, you threatened to kill me. Like crazy shit, and he'd be all coked out. Listen, he's abused Danny. Let's not make no mistake. I think Danny just ignores him now at this point. I think Danny fights more. You know what I mean? It seems like his heart's not in it. He's doing it because his father wants him there. I don't know. I am, to be honest with you, I almost feel sorry for the kid. I don't know why. I do.
Well,
I don't feel sorry for him at all. He's conned living out of boxing for years now. Done very well for himself. I mean,
not in that way, Danny. I meant in his relationship with his father.
The thing is, Angels took him as far as he can go. Yes, but Danny's gone as far as he can go. Danny just doesn't have that next gear he needs at the top. World boxing, especially in that 147 division. I'm talking about going up to 154. I mean, I'm talking about walking into your own demise. I mean, come on, man. What's he going to go there for? I mean, he can't even handle the guys at 147. And I said it's just the same performance every time with Danny. It's the same performance. Nothing changes. You know, you always feel like he's left something in the ring. You know, I said to you, did you ever feel like Danny's give it 100% in the ring? And then all of you agreed, no, he doesn't. And then yet again, he turns up, fails to deliver on the night.
Mm-hmm.
You said you always felt cheated.
This guy's got zero will to win for some reason.
Oh, before the fight, I was saying that Danny Garcia, when he steps up to these, guys at 147, he can't punch it in, man. He can't punch it in. And it's not like Danny Garcia has been a progressive fighter since the Sean Porter fight. He's not gotten better. And so what did someone expect just for all of a sudden him to do better? If you see a guy like Sean Porter, from way back from Kell Brook, to Danny Garcia to Keith Thurman and winning the belt and the things he's done, Sean Porter's slightly progressed. Every year he's been in the sport. He does things a little better. Danny Garcia hasn't done that. So what did you expect when he gets to the next top guy? Spencer's on the level of Crawford. Danny's not even in the atmosphere. And so he's not shown us that he's gotten better to be considered there. So this is what was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be a one-sided affair, and that's what we got.
But see, that's interesting, man. But see, that's interesting because we all know we're not professional boxers or anything or trainers, and even we know what Garcia has to do, that he has the tools and that he just has to let his hands go, but he won't do it. And that's the difference between a top guy in the division or the top guy and all the other contenders. Because look, Danny Garcia, you put him in any gym, he's a superstar. But when it comes to the cream of the crop, he will just not pull the trigger. And that's what makes boxing special, that some guys have the tools, but it's just, even then, it's just not enough. They don't have that mentality, that dog in him that we were talking about before the fight.
BDA.
So, yeah.
BDA, why is he throwing a really, really good hook to the body, to the kidney area, to the right side, but not the left? Did his father not teach him to go to the body on the left side with the liver? Is that he got a hell of a left hook upstairs? Why not double down and go downstairs?
I mean, there's just so many questions, man.
It's got good body power downstairs, but upstairs not as much. Sometimes it's not always the same.
He's got Danny Garcia. He goes to the right side of the body, but he should go to the left, to the liver, and he doesn't. He got a good left upstairs. Why not double down and go to the body on the left side? Because he threw a hell of a right hook to the kidneys all night, but he didn't go to the left side. Why?
Dude, the right was his best punch. Gonzalo, the right hand was his best hand all night. His right hook to the head was the best punch too.
Yeah.
Did you see the
he neglected the left to the body. He never threw left to the body.
Did y'all see how Spencer's face with the accident, where he had a lot of that scar? Did you see how that swole up and lumped up the side of his face?
He got cut up. He got cut up by a punch. Did you see that?
He did that with a jab.
He didn't, when he came out of a lot of fights, he never looked like that. But Danny Garcia hit him. You see how he swole up like that? That's something new. That's not how.
Yeah, the referee went up to Danny Garcia during the middle rounds, and he told him, "You cut him with the punch." Just letting you know, Danny Garcia.
Gonzalo, I want to ask you guys, man. Somebody answer this question for me, because guys who play at that level don't do this. What caused him to do this? Listen, the round wasn't over. He got his mouthpiece knocked out. I don't know if Danny caught him with a good shot. I don't know if because I kind of wasn't looking, but then all of a sudden I saw him literally turn his back. You see, Danny, he was ready to pounce. He was going to jump it. Yeah. Like, why would he so nonchalantly turn his back and look for his mouthpiece? The only time I've ever seen a fighter do that is when they're rung and they're not thinking straight. Yeah. I'm just asking. I'm not saying that could happen, but that was so fucking weird.
Hold on, fellas, because everyone's talking at the same time. I don't want to have to do that. You go and then you go and then you go. You guys police yourselves, and then we got to go take some phone calls. All right, but you guys police yourselves, and I'll be right back. All right, go ahead.
It fell out of his mouth. He didn't even get it knocked out with the punch. I think he just fell out of his mouth.
No, hold on, Jimmy. This is what happened. No, he did get it knocked out with a punch, Gonzalo. Okay. Danny Garcia hit him. It got knocked out. Well, Jimmy, this is what's going through his mind. That motherfucker just spent probably $80,000 getting all of those fucking teeth replaced.
You're right.
And that goddamn box keeping the motherfuckers in there.
right? Going through all that bullshit. Fuck, was my tooth guard?
That hurts. That hurts.
And the
Oh
sort of
my
reaction,
God.
it's sort of the reaction you do when you're shocked and you've never come across that experience before. It's like the way he reacted was like he'd never had his gum shield knocked out before in a boxing ring because it's just
Exactly,
bizarre.
brother. Exactly.
Well, he lost it against Leonard Bundu. I even looked that up on the internet. Errol Spence getting this gum shield knocked out, and the Leonard. But yeah, this one I wanted to see that again.
You're a better boxing fan than me for looking that up, man.
What? And another
But
thing,
you know what, Stu, Jimmy. Danny Garcia hit him after the bell in the first round, and later on he hit him. If he would have had that moment, like where he wasn't protecting himself, Danny Garcia actually hit him 2 times after the bell. Luckily, he didn't hit him during.
Another thing I didn't like either? The referee coming to the corner and telling the fucking fighters, the guy's got a cut above his left eye, that's a punch. Like, you don't usually say that to a fighter. And another thing, stopping in the middle of the action to stop because they had a clash of heads. Danny had a clash of heads with Spence, right? But following that clash of heads, they both hit each other with 2 nice shots. I'm like, nice, this might get nice. And some fucking ref jumps in to pull them apart to look. It's like, dude, you do that after maybe when the fucking is a lull in the action. It was bizarre.
Man, Jimmy, it was so bizarre. That ref, he paid a little extra. Don't let it last for so long inside. Our money can't get knocked out here. You know how it goes, Jimmy.
Yeah. It wasn't a cut, was it? Yeah, he was so worried there was a cut on Danny's, up on his forehead. Spencer, I literally stopped the action to look up at his head. Okay, all right, there's a mark there. That's from a headbutt. Like, why are you telling the fucking fighter? You don't give a fuck, dude.
Punch. He said it was by a punch.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, I don't remember what he said, but the fighter is listening to him to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like, he's focused. Well, he should be focused on his guy, but like, I would be like, why are you telling me, dude? Whatever, I got a nick on my head. Let's go. Fuck you doing? It was just it was bizarre. You guys know that. You guys have seen that. It's
Texas, Jimmy. It's Texas, man. It's not the first time. Remember with Juan Manuel Marquez when they told him against Haka, Himrik Haka, and there was a headbutt and a bad cut on Marquez's face, and the ref went up to him and he muted his mic. He put his hand over his mic to try to mute it, but you could still clearly hear what he was saying. He said, "You're ahead of the scorecards." That was in Texas? Yeah, that was in Texas, I believe. And he said, it was, what's his name? The guy whose father is the commissioner. Anyway, I forget the guy's name, but you guys know who he is.
I know he's talking about.
He looks like Stan from American Dad. Anyway, hold on.
Unless they pass new legislation, I mean, that may be what it is. Maybe they pass some crazy social justice warrior legislation in boxing, and they're making these guys do more like that. Because the different state commission boards constantly tweak things. Maybe they want they've told those guys to do that. I don't know.
Hopefully
maybe I shouldn't shit on him so much.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Now, before we continue, shout out to Michael Poe, who donated again with the super chat. He says, shaken, not stirred, but was rattled, and the referee checked in on him to stall it, it seems, in my opinion. All right, well, shout out to Michael Poe. That's one way of looking at it. You never know with boxing. Guys, let's take a phone call because there's some people have been waiting for a while now. Let's go to 214. You're on the air. 214. What's on your mind?
Well, I picked Errol Spence to win by decision, but I was really hoping to see if Danny would actually, have some enthusiasm, show a desire to win, and I think he, I think he did good a little bit, but I was talking to some other people who said that he couldn't do it because of the jab, and that Errol was setting up traps. I'm like, okay, but I still would have liked. I talked to some friends at work. They said it was kind of disappointing. Danny really let them down, and they just wanted a good fight. I don't think people really care who's going to win. At least at my place at work, they just want a good fight. They felt like Danny just Danny didn't really try until the 12th round. It's his hardest until the 12th round.
Danny always fight. Danny always lets people down in every big fight he's in. Why is everyone so surprised?
Stu, remember you said cheated? You always feel cheated. Remember when you said
by the guy? Look, even his dad was saying about he just wasn't doing enough, wasn't working. Look, sometimes you got to take risk in a fight. All right, you could get knocked out. But that's just how it is. Go out on your shield, man, for fuck's sake. I mean, how many opportunities does this guy need to win a world title? Every time he fails to deliver. And look, I don't think he deserves another one. That fight weren't close.
Now, caller, when we were talking about Danny Garcia, we talked about what we wanted to see from him, but we also have to be realistic and accept that some of these guys, they don't have it in them. They're not wired to go after it and trade. Like, I was going to mention, the way he went at Spence in the last 12 seconds of the fight, it was almost as if the pressure was off for Garcia and he just decided, you know what, let me go for it. That's what imagine if Maidana would have fought Broner the way Danny Garcia fights everybody. I tell you right now, Maidana doesn't win that fight. But he went out there and just beat up Broner, hitting the shoulder, the head, the top of the head, low blows, whatever he could hit, he would go after it. And he was dead tired after it, but he left it all in the ring and he got the win. Danny Garcia is just not wired that way. That's what makes boxing sensational, is that everybody's different. But, caller, did you at least enjoy the fight?
No, I wanted it to be a lot more similar to I wanted Danny in his own way to do it, just make it a little bit more exciting. I didn't feel when it was one-sided Spence, because in my back of my mind, I knew Spence was going to win, but I didn't know he was going to win like that. I don't know. I was listening to some other guy. He said he had Danny winning. I don't know how.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, we all try to be optimistic and break down fights, but that's at the end of the day, you got to admit, listen, this guy, he's probably not going to change the leopard's not going to change its spots from one day to the next. All right, listen, caller, we got to move on, but next time you call in, try to keep are you on a speakerphone, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Next time, just keep the phone next to you, to your mouth, or directly to your mouth, because we can barely hear you. But thank you for calling in, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man?
Hey, BDA, real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Hey, King Mitch. Blair Cobb got dropped by Jorge Cota, man. Blair the Flair Cobb has been fizzled out. That motherfucker don't have no flair. Blair Cobb ain't going nowhere at 147.
Are you saying Blair Cobb is no Tex Cobb? Is that what you're saying? All right.
Blair Cobb ain't no Cobb at all. Not even the corner of the Cobb.
Right.
Hey, what about Anthony Yard fucking losing then?
Oh, hold on. Stu, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later because we got a lot of phone calls here. Hold on. Who's next here? All right, let's go to 910. 910, you're in the air. 910.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Steven Schneider.
Oh, Steven, how you doing, man? Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Nothing, man. I just wanted to come in, chime in, put my 2 cents in. Everyone kind of, the panel and everything kind of touched on everything I'm going to get on anyway. But I just something that I think people aren't talking about is, Errol Spence. I criticize Errol Spence not too much. Errol Spence is actually one of my favorite fighters, and I'll tell you another thing. Spence made that fight somewhat entertaining. He pressed him. He pushed him. He's coming off rearranging his face, you know what I mean? Long layoff, this, that, and the other thing, man. And he put it on him. Could he have turned it up more? Maybe, but maybe not. But I'll tell you what, he pressured him, and I really like Spence. Every one of his fights, he might try to get him out, or he always tries to get him out. But sometimes he isn't able to do it. But that's a lot better than him pot-shotting and just cruising. Come on, let's face it. Spence could have easily pot-shotted, jabbed, 1-2, moved to an easy victory, but he at least did put it on him.
Steven, who do you think's got the better power, Spence or Crawford?
At 147?
Of course, at 147. What, we're going to be at 160, is it?
Well, the reason why I said 147 is because at 147, I don't know, man. Crawford and I don't want to get in the whole Crawford thing and I don't want to get in the whole.
I'm just asking you. You don't have to get into it. I'm not asking you to get into the fight. I'm just asking you who do you think's got the better power, because Spence. I'm not sure Spence's power is as good as a lot of people think it is.
Agreed.
No.
He's a big punch.
No. I'm sorry to cut you off, Stu, but I actually don't think Spence's power is all it's cracked up to be either. It's funny you should mention that because I thought the same thing. I think he has good pop, but I don't think he has one punch concussive power at all.
No.
Well, who does?
I mean, even with Kell Brook, he just overwhelmed Kell Brook with work rate. It wasn't like a concussive punch that
he broke him down, right? He broke him down, yeah.
Exactly.
I think Spence has better power to the body, and Crawford has better power up top.
There's a little bit of a mirage to Crawford's power. There's a little because you couldn't take out Ray Beltran. Think about Errol Spence. He fights like Ray Beltran. Left-hander coming forward. There's a little bit of a mirage with Terence Crawford. Kell Brook was shot, man.
That's right, Gonzalo. That's right, Gonzalo.
You know,
Steven, 11 rounds, one leg. Go ahead, BDA.
Yeah, Steven. So you don't think Spence is that big of a puncher, but compared to most of the welterweights, I think he is one of the biggest punchers. When you see him sort of backing up a little bit against Danny Garcia, do you think that's because he decided that he probably wasn't going to stop the guy that night, or do you think
No, not at all. Not at all. Every time he was backing up in that fight, I think that he realized when he was letting his hands go, Danny was shelling up and being super negative. And so he was like, okay, let me back up, let him get his little, something off, and maybe I can counter him. Maybe something will open up. He was actually, I believe Spence was actually trying to use his IQ to try and hurt Danny, but Danny was being so negative, and Danny was doing what. Let me tell you something about Garcia, man. In my opinion, people always like he's a counter puncher. He's a counter puncher. I don't think it's so much that he's a counter puncher as much as it is as he's a fearful fighter who, when the fight gets tough or when he thinks he may not get the guy who he's looking at out of there, he tries to save a little in the gas tank, right? He tries to not, because he doesn't want to gas out. I don't want to say he's afraid of getting hit, but he just is not that guy that tries to get you out of there. He just isn't. Garcia is just this negative, plotting, you know what I mean? Like, the guy has about as lateral movement as a fat chick in a bar.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't have to go after fat chicks, man. Come on. But, yeah, I get what it's true, man. With Danny Garcia, look, third time, what do they say? Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. Well, he's fooled us 3 times now, going in there and not letting his hands go. When he had success, but then it seems like he's not wired for it. That's what I keep saying.
Garcia leaves too much in the ring. He leaves too much in the ring. If he'd have fought the last 10 seconds of the 12th, right? Remember the last 10 seconds? He actually started acting like he wanted to win a fight in the last 10 seconds. If he would have fought the 12th, like he fought the last 10 seconds of the 12th, he might have fucking won the round and won more rounds before that. In fact, why the fuck do you have that much energy anyway? I don't know. I don't like seeing fighters finishing fights like, hey, I have energy.
Yeah, especially when they're losing. Go ahead, Stu. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, mate, that's the proof that Danny cons a living out of boxing. He just cons a living out of it, mate. He's fighting for the money. He doesn't care about whether he wins or loses. There is no game. They just go in there with a one game plan, same pace all night. Like Steven Schneider said, always leaves a lot in the ring that night. I mean, let's be real. He left a lot in the ring. If he's got that sort of work rate in the 12th, what, like Steve said, why didn't he start a bit earlier? Just don't want to know, mate. Not interested. And that's why I'm not interested in Danny Garcia. I told you this. This guy, he's going to fail to deliver. Don't know why anyone would pick him to beat Spence. I don't know why.
Hey, Stu, is Danny Garcia the guy in 2021 now that, remember Adrian Broner? If you just let his hands go, is that Danny?
When you say that, I was thinking Broner's name about 5 minutes ago. Danny is like a Broner, where he's just conning a living out of the sport now.
If he just let his hands go, like, bro, I'm not even going to start saying that again, because he's not going to let his hands go. The same way I used to tell people Broner wasn't going to let his hands go. Why are you expecting this guy to do something he's not going to do? He doesn't want to.
It's not a question of toughness. The kid can take a fucking shot. It's not a question of toughness. I don't believe he's afraid of taking shots. I don't know. Maybe he's afraid of looking stupid.
It's mental, Jimmy. It's mental.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah, we used to have guys like that in the industry who they were, they were studs. They had the whole package. They passed the audition, but then once they were actually in front of the cameras, they shut down. I mean, it was I agree with D. I
They
think it's
shriveled up, huh?
yeah, they shriveled
Yo,
up.
BDA.
Yeah,
Sorry, recognize. I
All
thought
right.
he fought a better fight than he usually does. He threw over 700 punches, man. I thought Danny fought a good fight.
He did
Just
fine,
got beat.
Gonzalo. You're right, man. He did fine. It's just that I don't know.
The other guy's more complete, right? Recognize.
But
Danny
okay,
gets
you know what?
criticized a little too much.
You know why
Danny gets
Garcia led?
criticized a little too much.
Sorry, Wagner. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Danny gets criticized a little too much. Name me one guy who beat the fuck out of him. All right, I rest my case.
Yeah, but recognise the thing is, Danny is he's a crafty customer. You can see he's a schooled fighter. He knows what he's doing in the ring, but he just he fails to impress me every time.
You know what?
He just fails to impress me, and like I could accept if Danny went in there, give it his all, and he's just not good enough on the night. I accept that, but Danny could have made that fight a little bit more interesting if he just had because Errol didn't really look like he was going to stop Danny last night. He never really looked like he was going to stop Danny. So Danny should have took a few more chances. And look, it could have been a closer fight, but he didn't care. It was like, as long as I don't get hurt, as long as I go the distance, I'm happy with that. And that's
remember when the fucking Stu, remember when the announcer actually was like, Cohen, why isn't he jumping in? Remember, it was a point that you could tell he buzzed Spence a little, and he just sat back and didn't do anything.
Yeah. And a lot of his punches he were throwing were get off me punches, like to get Spence off him, because Spence was just pressuring him. Do you know what I mean? And he hates to be pressured, and he hates to be fighting on the back foot. So.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But you know what, man? Can I say something, Gonzalo? You said that Garcia threw 700 shots. I want to see the CompuBox for that. But you know why I think he threw more shots than usual? Because Spence forced him to do it. If he would have been in a situation like Ivan Redkach, where the guy's just afraid, and then at that point Garcia just paces himself and says, all right, I already got this guy beat. No need to push myself.
That's what they were. They would get off me punches. He was actually punching to get Spence off him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thrown that many shots.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, shout out to Julio Ochoa, who just donated the super chat. He says Mauricio Herrera beat Danny worse than Errol did. Well, I don't know about that, man. I mean, but shout out to Julio Ochoa for his contribution. All right, Steven, we got to move on to another phone call, but anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, just one thing I want to get, one thing I want to say, because all of this shit that we're saying about Garcia is true. Everyone is right. I haven't heard one thing from anybody that is wrong. There's plenty to pick apart from Garcia, but I don't want to take too much away from Spence. I thought he dominated the fight. I thought he made Danny as shit as he was. Mm-hmm. He didn't let him in the fight. And the only gripe that I had from the whole thing is it wasn't a pay-per-view fight, and I will complain about that. That was definitely not a pay-per-view level fight. When the odds are that lopsided, how the fuck are you going to put that on pay-per-view? But Spence made it entertaining, and I have no hate towards him. And he looked pretty sharp, had some ring rust. He was inaccurate, but his activity was fucking great. And, I don't think his power is the greatest, but he has enough to keep people honest, and he's one of my favorite fighters. Just like
he's a grinder.
He's a
grinder, right?
One of my favorite, like blue chip prospects and anything. Anyway, I don't want to rant. But man, let's still give
Spence.
You can't give him too much credit, but I think you can give. I think you can't hate on Spence here. Considering everything.
I agree. We got to keep it balanced. It was a little bit of a combination of both. But anyway, Steven, thank you for calling in, man. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, man. Take it easy.
Can I say it again one more time, BD?
I think people feel the need to shit on like an opponent who lost when you got to really look when Sean Porter fought Danny Garcia, he didn't shut him down. Mm-hmm. He just outworked him, edged him out here and there. There was people in the arena that were like, I thought Danny won. There was people that actually said that. They're like, I thought Danny won. He landed cleaner punches. Mm-hmm. I didn't think so. I thought he got outworked. Right? I thought he got outworked, not dominated.
Recognize.
When he fought Keith Thurman, I thought he got kind of blown out in the first half, but in the second half, Keith Thurman was gasping, and he showed a guy that was in survival mode. Okay, especially the last 3 rounds. All right, Spence shut him down. Like Spence, okay, you hit me, I hit you right back. You hit me with a nice, good counter punch, I get my get back, and everything from the jab. And those jabs serve as a lot of them serve as scoring points, but also half of those are power jabs. So he did a good job. Look, Danny Garcia is not the best welterweight of today's crop. That's obvious, right?
Right.
But nobody has clearly beat him. Nobody has clearly beat him until Spence, I think, won at least 8-4 if I'm being generous to Garcia. But if I wanted to be a little generous to and give all the benefit of doubt rounds to Spence, I had it 10 rounds to 2. So that's all. I'm just put it in perspective. You don't have to shit on Danny Garcia. He's not a great fight. He's not the greatest of the crop. But you go in there, you sleep on him, he'll fuck your world up. He'll knock you out. Yes, he will.
Yeah. Exactly. He's proven it
I'm
before.
about to say,
Go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
sorry, I'm gonna say it's just because I don't know if Recognize heard me. Yeah, Errol Spence is like a chess player, right? Recognize. He's like a speed play. Chess
good
player.
IQ. Yeah, you're right. He's got a good IQ.
He'll take all your. He wants to take all your pieces, and he will. Doesn't mean the opponent's not going to take some of his pieces, but he'll most likely take your pieces before he takes the opponent takes yours.
That's a great way of putting it, man. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Nobody's seen the best of Spence yet either. Wait till he fights Crawford. If they were to fight this coming year, I bet you they're going to see the best out of both of them. That's what I want to see. I mean, I'm obviously a Crawford guy, and I'm not even saying I don't even know who would win. I have to really sit down and dissect it. I'm just saying I think going in, that's going to see the best out. He's fighting down to people. Like Gonzalo said, he had to make that Jimmy. Fucking fight.
That's a good point because, look, again, and I'm not shitting on Danny Garcia the way some people are. He is a negative fighter. He waits for the perfect punch, the perfect counter punch and all that stuff. So sometimes fighting a negative fighter, it doesn't bring the best out of you. You're kind of like, if you're Spence, you're kind of comfortable just jabbing this dude to a victory, outworking him. But yeah, that's a good point. We still haven't seen the best of him, and maybe a guy like I think a guy that brought the best out of him was Sean Porter.
If not, who'll bring out the second best? Who'll bring out this? In my opinion, I know some guys might laugh. You guys, that kid's on. Long.
Ugas could give him a problem. Yes, he could.
Spence would be. No, listen, I'm telling you right now, that would make him. You would see wrinkles from Spence.
Spence to beat him, but
but you would see wrinkles. You would have to see. He would force Spence to do things that we haven't had to see him because Ugas is a much better boxer than anybody else Spence has fought.
Guys,
can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just now.
What's up? Look, let me tell you this right now.
I can just hear you not precise. I just heard you not precise.
Hold on. Precise. We're going to get to you, but I think D wants to jump in and say something. Go ahead, D.
Real quick. Jimmy, Errol Spence will fucking stop you guys. And I don't want to go into that, but I could break that down for you perfectly. Let's let Precise jump in here.
Precise, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's my headphones. Can you hear me okay though? Am I loud and clear?
It's a little low for my taste, but other people I think can hear you.
Okay, well then I'm gonna yell like Gonzalo. What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
I just I don't understand the negativity, guys. Like, it was a very good fight last night. People are saying, I'm hearing that Danny didn't throw, he didn't let his hands go. He threw exactly as many punches as Errol Spence did. It was I wouldn't say very close, but it was a pretty close, very competitive. I think you could have given Danny 5 rounds. He hurt, not that badly, but he stunned Spence. He knocked the mouthpiece out of his mouth. I think Spence was just being careful. He had a very tight guard in this fight. He was really watching his defense. Then he wasn't just counterpunching. He was leading with this too. They threw a little bit over 700 punches each. Now, because the comparison has been made, and that's what we're talking about, Brook and Crawford, in a little bit under the 4 rounds that the fight went, or whatever it was, they only threw about 100 punches each. So they were on pace to throw 1/3 of the punches, or if my math is wrong, forgive me, but they weren't on pace to throw nearly as many punches as these guys did. So, I just don't, I don't know if you guys, paid attention to this fight or what was going on, but, it wasn't, super action-packed, but it was a good-paced, competitive fight with a lot of punches thrown. Danny, I get what you guys are saying. Danny is Danny. We all know this.
this is
Precise. Would you watch it again?
I watched it again this morning. Yeah, and I
So, no, but I'm saying, would you
I,
sit down and say, "Listen, I'm gonna watch. I'm in for mood for a good fight. Let me watch that."
Yeah, but I don't, Jimmy. Like I don't watch 99% of the fights out there. I don't watch, but I did rewatch this one. It wasn't great, but it was a pretty good fight, and like I just don't understand the negativity, man. Like it wasn't the greatest fight or anything like that, but it was a good fight all in all. And compared to everything else that's happening in the welterweight division, like this was a good fight. Like we all knew Danny wasn't. We all knew Danny wasn't going to win. Like we knew that, so like no one should be disappointed. The same Danny that everybody said was going to show up showed up. So like. I don't understand the disappointment.
But we knew Danny was going to go in there and try to win, right? Like he was going to, in his style. You may not, boxing fans may not like it, but in his own style, he's going to try to beat you, which is.
He was trying to take his fucking head off.
Yeah,
he was.
Mouthpiece out of his. He stunned him a couple of times.
Yeah, and he was moving. He was
up.
using his defeat. If this Danny fights Thurman and Porter, he beats those guys because This is a good version of Danny that fought. He just got all class.
Yeah, but Gonzalo, don't try to, Gonzalo.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I don't like to do. Like I hate this. And I get what you're saying. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah,
with that.
I understand.
He would have beat this guy. No, in this particular fight, he came to win like he always does. I mean, sometimes it looks really bad, and sometimes it pays off and it looks good. What we're saying is that this fight was good. I thought it was a good fight. And
he would use his feet to move around.
I was happy. Here's a couple of things. There's a couple of other questions that I have for Spence, but I was happy that Spence could still fight at this level. That means, to me, it confirms a lot of things for me that he can still fight at a top level. And let's move forward, right? So, can he work on certain things? I think that a lot of his mistakes was ring rust, like standing a little too stationary, more than he's used to, right? I've seen better footwork from him in other fights. In this fight, I thought he was a little too stationary. Maybe he could work on some combinations a little bit better and mid-range game just a little bit better. But other than that, everything put together, the whole fight put together, Danny Garcia, he did really well. And I think I still give him the favorite to beat Terence Crawford if they were to fight anytime soon.
Hey, fellas, let's go to the phone lines real quick because we got some people waiting for a while that want to talk to you guys. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind? Oh, he hung up. All right, let's go to 773. 773, you're on the air. 773, you're on the air. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
About damn time.
Oh boy. Kevin, what's on your mind, man? How are you?
Pretty good. 1 second.
Did he say 1 second?
Yeah, I gotta say this.
Did you say fuck off? Did you say fuck off?
He put you on hold, BDA. He put you on hold.
Yeah,
he fucking called you.
Hold
he
on.
put you on hold.
I called in a couple weeks ago before the Kell Brook versus Crawford fight. I said, "There's no point breaking this fight down. It's gonna melt. Kell Brook will melt. He'll fold. He'll get out of there." And then I called in last week before this Danny Garcia, whatever his name is, fight, Spence, and I said, "There's no point breaking this down. Danny Garcia is gonna get outworked. He's gonna look for a home run shot, a big left hook, and maybe you can get him out."
Okay,
of there.
buddy, bye.
Well, but Kevin, sorry to interrupt,
But he didn't get outworked. He didn't get outworked. Like what fucking?
Sorry
fight did
to
you
interrupt,
watch,
man. Sorry to interrupt, Kevin, but you're bragging about something that 90% of the boxing fans predicted. I mean, I don't understand what the fuck you're
BDA,
saying.
that's not even correct. It's incorrect to say he got outworked. He didn't get outworked. They threw the same amount of punches. So how can you say he got outworked? He didn't.
Well, hold on. Let's let Kevin respond. Kevin, go ahead.
He got outworked. He got pressured. He got put against the ropes. He got beat up. And you talk about CompuBox numbers. I could care less about CompuBox numbers.
Oh.
He got outworked. You want to bring up CompuBox numbers? Are you serious? Is that your point?
Well, I mean,
look at the fight. The eyes tell the truth. My eyes.
I did
don't
look
lie.
at the fight.
Look
That's
at
the
'em.
point. I watched the fight. I saw what I saw, and then I went to confirm with CompuBox, and they agreed with the shit that I saw. They threw the same amount of punches. What are you complaining about?
They did not throw the same amount of punches. That's absolute horse shit by CompuBox.
It's horseshit,
That's
precise.
what they do. Danny Garcia. Anyways, I gotta say this: 147 is the most overrated division in boxing. People like to hype up. They use the big name of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is 40 years old. Okay, if he steps in there with Crawford or Spence, he's gonna get destroyed. He already lost to Jeff Horn. I don't care, cry about the decision all you want, but he got roughed up by Jeff Horn. He should have knocked out Jeff Horn. So 147. Keith Thurman, he fights once every 3 years. That's big. That's Manny Pacquiao's big win. He's injury prone. He's been laid off due to injury. And that's your big four horsemen: Keith Thurman, Pacquiao, Spence, and Crawford. Spence and Crawford are good. They're elite. Other than that, it's just there's not much there. So that's why I'm saying to have a really good division, you need elite all across the board, not just a heavy top. It's like you got Spence and Crawford just picking on everybody else, beating up everybody else. Danny Garcia, a 140-pounder, who struggled against Ivan Redcash, another 140-pounder in his last fight. It's just
all right. Well, let's see what the people.
Oh my
Let's see what the guys have to say. Guys, what do you think? Do you agree with Kevin?
I just wanted to say.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Kevin, when you got six fights or so at 147, you're a 147 pounder. That's all I want to say. But go ahead, guys.
No, I was just going to say real quick too, man. People, and it's not going to be much longer. A lot of people, when they talk about what.
No, I'm going to respond to
what?
He wants to. Kevin wants to respond to D.
People jump way.
Oh, okay, all right.
You look at someone like Lomachenko. He's obviously not a 135-pounder. He can make 126. You look at his frame; he's tiny, and that's what makes him so special. He's willing to fight these guys that are way bigger. Crawford is not giving up a bunch of size jumping up weight classes. He matched up length and size with all these 147-pounders. Spence, he towers over Garcia. He's way bigger than Garcia. So that's why you can't put these guys at pound for pound, because they're not giving up a bunch of size. They're usually bigger, just as big, fighting up washed up dudes. Victor Posto's his big win at 140. Cut it.
All right, we got you, Kevin. We got you, Jimmy. Go ahead, man. You want to say something about that?
I was just going to say, I don't think this conversations like this are going to go on much longer without naming Virgil Ortiz. I just have I think that kid right now, I think that'd be a good fight with him and Danny Garcia. I think that would be a next jump up for him. I think that kid's going to be the monster in that division.
That's the kind of role that Danny needs to play right now, is test these up-and-coming guys. Basically, that's where he needs to go, and that's all.
Yeah, because he can't beat the cream of the crop already. So, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, he needs to either do something to earn a shot at, like, a guy like Pacquiao or something, because he's the only one who hasn't beaten him up yet. I mean, not beaten him up, but beaten him. Let's go to, real quick, and I want one of you guys to take this call, too. 774, you're on the air. 774, what's on your mind?
Yes, my name's Matthew E. O'Neill. I'm the #1 ranked editor for Everpedia.org. It's an internet encyclopedia set out of Santa Monica, California. I'm also the host of the Everpedia Boxing Show. It's on Spotify. Spotify is on the New York Stock Exchange. I competed as a USA boxer back in the late 90s. I beat Preston Hartzog when he was a super heavyweight in the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program.
Okay.
What's your name? What's your name?
Yeah, the reason for the call is
hold on, caller. What's your name? Because you caller. What's your name again? Because you talk very, very fast, and we could barely, like, you recited half your biography.
Yes, my name is.
Is that Art LeBeau?
Yes,
hold on.
No, hold on. He says from New York. Hold on.
Matthew A. O'Neill.
Matthew O'Neill.
Matthew O'Neill.
Neil.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Oh shit. Let me see.
And I'm giving you guys a call about the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson match. Jake Paul was a YouTube star, and he knocked out Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson was an NBA slam dunk champion 3 times.
Okay.
And the reason for the call is, of course, it looks like I don't think that Nate Robinson was brought along properly by his trainers to compete against Jake Paul. And Nate Robinson has seen a lot of backlash on Twitter and on the internet for his really poor performance against Paul. Robinson was not.
That wasn't a real fight, bro. Newsflash. That wasn't a real fight.
Hold on. Let him speak, man. Come on. Go ahead, Matthew O'Neill.
And I think that Robinson, I mean, is a great athlete. I just don't think that. I think that Robinson could have beat Paul if he had been trained better, if he had been sparred better, if he had been brought along properly by his trainers.
What about Zeke from what's his name? Saved by the Bell against Jose Canseco. Who would win that one, man?
Caller, Matthew, check this out, man. Nate Robinson is what I call an idiot, okay? Because I don't really care who he got in with. Jake Paul is too far ahead of him. The kid has been doing stuff in boxing. He's been involved in boxing. He's been sparring. He's been training. And Nate Robinson barely knew how to throw a punch. I watched his training video, the little bit of training he did have, and it looked absolutely pathetic. Nate Robinson is a guy that cannot even fight, my friend. Forget about boxing. He can't even fight. So he should have never gotten into the ring. You know, maybe his PR team, forget about the trainers. Maybe his PR team should have said, Nate, you know what? This is a bad idea. Why don't you try to go play in the Big Three or something like that? I'd see them like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
precise.
That was a freak show. That was a freak show for the casuals. Like I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the only one here, but like we really don't talk about that fight seriously.
Yeah, you're the only one because it was a high-level matchup between two skilled athletes, my friend. They might not be boxers, but they have the Q rating and the physicality to compete in boxing. So precise, I gotta call you a casual. That's what I gotta do.
Dude, I never watched that shit, and I won't ever watch it, and I won't ever watch any of Jake Paul's fights because that shit ain't. That's like me being a hardcore boxing fan and fucking watching minor leagues. Like, who got the time for that shit?
Yeah, no, precise. I didn't watch the fight
about that.
Yes.
I was going to say, can I just say what?
Go ahead,
what?
Jimmy, go ahead.
Oh, just real quick. I just wanted to say, does anybody know the actual analytics? Because I'm just curious. What sold 1.3 million? Did anybody do you know what I mean? Was it Jake Paul and that kid? I mean, because I know that kid has Jake Paul's a huge social, standing. I'm just curious. Was that because was it that, or was it really those guys?
Jimmy, you know who it was. It was 12-year-old boys and girls from his fucking YouTube channel.
It was a combination of Tyson and Roy and Jake Paul.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I didn't even. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was a combination of
the good thing to come out of this is Mike and Roy got paid, and that's got to be a good thing. They deserve their big paycheck. You know, they've put a lot into this sport. So, look, yeah, it is a circus, but if boxing was actually in a better place and fights were being made, then there would be no space for these YouTubers to be on our cards. But right now, because let's be real, even the cards over the weekend, all happened. The Yard fight was probably the only one that people probably got wrong with the predictions, but everyone else really could predict what was going to happen. And was Martin Murray, Billy Joe competitive? Not for me, it weren't.
Yeah. All right. By the way, caller, we got to move on. Otherwise, these guys are going to clip my nuts off if we spend one more second talking about Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson or whatever the other guy's name was. So, shout out to you, man. Thank you for calling in. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, man?
Is that what they call castrating, BDA? When they cut the nuts off?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what they call it. All right, that was Matthew. What was he say? Matthew O'Neill?
Yeah, he said he was an amateur boxer from I think he
Santa Monica.
Oh, Santa Monica.
Santa Monica? Well, he can't be that great a boxer then. The only thing that comes out of Santa Monica is hairstylists. Let's go to 929. You're on the air. 929. What's on your mind?
Yo, what's up, BDA?
How you doing, man? Is this Ruchoso?
Yeah, this is him, man. What's up, man? What's up, guys?
How you doing, man? What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to talk about the fight last night, man. Actually, during the show, I basically went back and watched the fight. I picked up where I left off because I fell asleep. I just want to, yeah. Listen, man, recognize you're not going to like this, but I'm about to shit on Danny, man, for real. I think him and his father have the combined ring IQ of Deontay Wilder, bro.
Oh, wait a minute.
Listen, man. The overarching narrative leading up to this fight, right, was after Spence, flipped his Ferrari and face planted on the pavement, was how well was he going to take a punch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm Angel Garcia, right, I'm training my boy, right, to really bring the fight to him, right. I'm trying to, put that chin to the touch. Let's see how well he can take a punch, right? Now, Jimmy pointed this out that he got to grab the chin, and Recognize pointed out, exactly that Spence is stationary, a little too stationary. He can move around well, but he's not elusive. So it's up to Danny, right, to try to walk through that fire, right, get around that jab, that southpaw jab, and try to land to the body, and then some. Try to mix it up in there, because if you're gonna fight from mid range to outside, that jab don't mean shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Danny was doing. He was not throwing enough. And his father said it. Like, yo, just because you're a counterpuncher doesn't mean that you gotta wait for your opportunity. You gotta create those opportunities, man.
And by the way,
Danny Garcia,
he did. He threw a lot of lead punches. Like, are people not watching these fights?
Let me just say.
So Virtuoso, like you didn't see him throwing lead punches, setting him up for that looping right hand, leading with the right hand, doubling up with the right hand, trying to jab with him. Look, Danny is who he is. He's not gonna try to Brandon Rios your ass. And if he did test his chin, he was trying to knock him out. But that's Danny. That's how he knocks people out. He was trying to catch him with a big punch when he catch him sleeping. Now look, if Danny comes in there and does what you want him to do, he's gonna be gassed in 3 rounds, knocked out by 6. That's just. I'm sorry, man.
I get that, precise. I get that, but every time I watch, every time I watch Danny, he's left a bit.
I'm not going to be here for long. I just want to say this, man. I think Danny, I feel like Danny had too much respect for Spence. I know he's coming off a car crash, but I feel like he had to take advantage of that disability and see what he can do. Try to push the pace on this guy, man. To me, he's no longer Swift Garcia. He's Slack Garcia. He slacks out there, man, in the pocket. And he's been given opportunity after opportunity, and he fails and time again.
Yeah, exactly, Caller.
And I don't think.
Was he ever the favorite going into those fights that he lost? Was Danny Garcia the favorite going into those fights that he lost? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too about the Porter fight.
Because that's a disappointment.
Recognize, come on, man.
I thought it was a lot of.
But wait a second, Stu. If he's not the favorite going in, hold on, Virtuoso. Let me say this. If he's not the favorite going in, how is he disappointing you? I mean, how can
listen? If you think you're getting 100% out of Danny Garcia, I really don't know what to tell you. Look, the guy leaves. He always leaves something in that ring. Yeah, I agree with what Precise said. It's the way he fights.
I think Danny Garcia gives
he can be blowing and he could get stopped if he puts too much work in too early. I get that, but just I don't know. He just never looks like he's going to win one of these fights. He's just going through the motions. It's just none of it was classy work. There's a couple of bits here and there, but just man, just not good enough for me.
But think about the level of competition, Stu.
Yeah,
yes, I know.
Welterweight. These guys are not blowing each other out. They're just not.
No, they're not. But what my point is,
I told you,
how many opportunities is guy going to get, man?
Go ahead, Stu.
No, I was just going to say quickly, Gonzalo, how many opportunities is a guy going to get then? Let someone else have a chance. I mean, just recycling Danny Garcia.
Well, have him fight Josecito Lopez for a comeback. No, if I told you, just one thing precise, if I told you that Danny Garcia fought a hell of a fight, people are going to clown me, man. But he fought a hell of a fight, bro.
It's true, man. I can see both sides here, man. But now, to Virtuoso, because not recognize. Precise mentioned that the punch stats. I'm looking at the punch, and I'm going to put them up here on YouTube. According to Boxing Scene, Spence threw 707 punches, 707, and Garcia threw 700. Now, like Kevin did, when I saw the fight, I didn't see Garcia.
Bro, that's CompuBox.
But that's what I'm saying. So, but I didn't see Garcia being that active. But apparently that's what happened. Again, it's just an estimation, but that seems to be maybe because he was missing a lot. I don't know.
Guys, you guys were probably tired and not watching carefully. He was backing Spence up. He was stunning Spence with good sharp punches. He went to his body. He threw as many punches as Spence did. He just got outboxed. Spence was just a better guy. And look, let me say this. what if they just got in there and they looked at each other for about 4 rounds, throwing like 12, 13 punches per round, and then the first punch, Danny Garcia lands on Spence, he knocks him out cold or hurts him and finishes the fight. Like, this was he had a tough opponent in front of him. He didn't have a drained, fucking washed up, can't take a fucking punch, Kell Brook, where you land one punch and it's over and you're pound for pound number one.
I agree. I agree with that one. It was a harder fight.
I'm almost done. He had to go in there and he had to work, and he just wasn't good enough. He's just not good enough, and we all knew this. But he tried.
Yeah,
That's Danny. That's who he is. Go ahead.
Let's do, and then
I think you knocked down the head. This is what I've been trying to say to you guys all week. He's not good enough. And look, I get it. But the thing is, this guy's been in numerous big fights, and we get the same performance from him every time. I mean, and is it? We can't keep saying, "Well, you're just not good enough." I mean, if you're not good enough, you should be fighting in the first place at that level. That's what my point is. I want to see these guys moving on now. I don't want Danny to be getting title shots anymore. And I agree with you. Danny is a harder fight right now than Kell Brook. A lot tougher.
Well, look,
hold on. Recognize. Can we let Virtuoso respond, because he's the one that fire started this whole thing. Go ahead, Virtuoso.
No, I just want to leave off with this, man. Look, I just want to say that the Fox commentary team is complete bullshit, man. They don't call the fights.
I agree.
He's more like having a conversation or having arguments with his co-announcers, man. The only guy in that commentary team is the official scorekeeper, and he pointed this out, man. It's like you're trying to win the approval of the judges with activity.
Right.
And for me, I feel like Spence was a busier fighter, and that's what to me what Danny had to do. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, man. He's not elite. He's a gatekeeper.
All right, man. Shout out to Virtuoso. You brought us some great points, and you jump started a lot of discussion here. Thank you for calling in, man. We'll catch you in the next one. Just real quick, before I get to recognize, I got a lot of super chats to read here. Some backlogged. Shout out to Boxing Learner, who donated with the super chat and says the whole card was not worthy of pay-per-view. I agree with that, Boxing Learner. Shout out to Boxing Learner. Thank you for your contribution. Willie Williams. Shout out to Willie Williams, said Spence is his own program. If he fights smart and doesn't let his ego get in the way, he beats them all the same way. The Porter fight was all Spence's ego. Maybe, man, maybe. Shout out to Willie Williams for his contribution. Hold on, Gonzalo. Give me a second here. Shout out to Steven Schneider, who says, I'm proud of Recognize finishing his probation. Now, wait a minute. He finished probation a long time ago. All right, Recognize. The aforementioned Recognize. Go ahead, man, Recognize. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Listen, I haven't been on probation in over 20 years.
There you go.
Plus 20 years. So thank you anyway, though. I appreciate it. And look, man. Look, when you fight Danny Garcia reckless, I think of two guys. They're not at the same level, but look what happened. Brandon Rios and Granados, right?
Mm-hmm.
They look at Danny Garcia. I can see what they see. You kind of soft, bro. You're not. And then next thing you know, he's piecing your ass up and you can't respond, right? So you got to be a little careful. Amir Khan, right? The fucking the guy who's got fast hands but got no fucking chin, right? He goes in there, he's getting a little too careless, and he gets chin checked, right? So this is the reputation he has, and he hit Spence with some good shots, man, in that fight. I see what Precise saw. I see what a lot of other people that thought it was a good fight saw. This was a Danny Garcia that had a game plan according to Spence. You cannot disrespect Spence. When I mean disrespect, throw caution into the wind and say, let's thug it out. Let's just go bomb for bomb. You'll get put to sleep. That's why I say Danny Garcia came to win. It's just that Spence, hold on, let me finish this. It's just that Spence is a little bit better than him. I mean, would you say that Spence is 20 times better than him? No, you wouldn't say that, right? No. If they fought 20 times, you think Spence is going to win all 20? You crazy?
Yes. Yeah. No. Gonzalo wanted to say something. Hold on.
If you think that, you're not even being honest. No, he wouldn't. He will not beat him all 20 times.
Yeah, I think he would win 20 out of 20 times.
If you say hold on, I mean you can say that all you want, you'd be wrong.
No, I'm asking. Repeat yourself. Recognize. I didn't hear you.
No, I'm saying you would be wrong. because anybody
Probably, you know why I recognize.
Hold on,
wait,
fellas. Hold on,
Anybody who
Gonzalo.
spent
Hold on.
any time in the gym knows that there's nobody that will beat you.
All right, hold on. Now, I want to get
You know how
Gonzalo.
to fight.
Oh shit, I thought you were finished. All right. That's an interesting point. Go ahead.
I
Gonzalo.
agree. Sorry, I agree with recognize. You know why? Because you would learn after that first fight, going into the second, the third, the fourth, and so forth. But I wanted to say something. BDA, I thought Gatekeeper was like you're at the threshold of the top 10 of the division. You're basically holding the door for you're like the 10th best fighter. That's Gatekeeper. I thought that was. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I get confused sometimes between Gatekeeper, Journeyman, and
Contender.
Look, Danny Garcia. Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Gatekeeper for my generation was the people right below champions. They're the guys you fight, then you get up into the championship level. So Gatekeeper really wasn't, when I was a kid, it wasn't even an insult. You know what I mean?
I think that's a fair thing to say about Danny, Gatekeeper. I think if you can't beat Danny Garcia, then forget about beating the champions in my eyes. So yeah,
exactly.
But Danny's at that level where if you're not at that world level, he'll find you out quickly. Do you know what I mean? So he's a decent fighter. It's not even this fight. I think he gave it a sort of a go, but it's the fights before where he's failed to deliver. It's just last. I'm at the end of my tether with him, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, let me say this about Danny Garcia, man. Because people like to shit on the guy. Look, when he fights a guy like Granados, he's going to shine, a slower fighter. But people go, well, Granados sucks. Well, hold on a second, because Broner and Porter look like crap against Granados. Meanwhile, and Amir Imam, who, if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, a lot of people were high on the guy, saying he was going to be the next best thing. Granados went in there, went to war with the guy, took him out. So Granados is nobody's Prague. The guy goes to fight, and guess what? Danny Garcia took him out. So this whole thing about Danny Garcia sucking and come on, yes, is he limited as a fighter in terms of mentality sometimes? Sure, but then you also have to give Spence credit for making Garcia feel limited. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Like, for example, let's say I fight Recognize. Now, obviously, I would win in a real fight, but let's say he's got a better jab. Let's say he's got a better jab than me.
Well, you're 6'9". I mean, what the fuck, bro?
Exactly. No, but let's say he's got a shotgun jab, and I can't get past a shotgun jab. That's not me being afraid. That's me not being able to get past a shotgun jab. So same thing with Errol Spence. Like, his skills made Garcia, in a way, fight the way he's always fought. You know what I mean? It's like that. Those limitations came out because they always come out.
Yeah, I get that, but it was the same sort of thing with Anthony Yard. I don't mean to mention this fight, but this guy was getting his head jabbed off for 11 rounds. The second he starts to step into the pocket and start letting his hands go in the pocket and at mid-range, he was doing well. He was trying to outbox this guy from range, trying to out-jab him. It was never working. When something's not working, you have to, if you're getting outboxed from range, then you have to find a way inside and start working from there. You find it with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, that's why it makes him a good fighter, because when it's not working at range, he steps in and then starts letting his hands go with the short shots, and he steps up the work rate, and he usually takes souls. That's what you got to do. Sometimes you're not going to outbox these guys, so you have to take it to the trenches. And Danny just doesn't do that for me.
Make it dirty. Elbows in the clinch, headbutts, everything. Make it dirty. Get it ugly.
No. We don't have to
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead, bro.
I actually respect the fact that it was a righty facing the lefty, and maybe there was a head clash in the beginning, but they're very good, disciplined fighters that they were able to have good spacing in between and fight a fluid fight, that it wasn't dirty at all. I actually like that about this fight.
This fight was good, exactly. There was a lot of clean work from both fighters, especially Spence to the body. A lot of those punches. That's another thing. Like, dude, his jab is like 50% power jabs. It's a power punch, and 50% scoring on you. So he kind of like mixes it up. Kind of goes upstairs and then shoots a tight one to your belly. You got to be careful when you're fighting a guy like that, because then if you start going for it, right? You start going for it. He hits you to the body. He starts working that shit upstairs and knocks you out.
And he's saying that recognised, but every time Danny, hang on a sec, 1 second. Every time Danny put it on Errol Spence with combination punches, he was actually looking like he was doing damage and putting Errol under pressure. You know, it was just
You're right.
far few in between. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's not much coming back from Errol when he's covering up. So that's when you got to make it pay a bit. Oh, come on, man. It was just
Errol Spence, he's got sneaky. He's got that sneaky burst of energy. You got to be careful with him, Stu. If not,
and you know why I recognize his punch is so effective? The jab, because it's straight as an arrow.
Through this, buddy. Stop.
He keeps his elbow tight to where he delivers the punch. Let's say I draw a line to you and it's straight. You draw a line to me and it's looping. Basic geometry. The straight line is going to reach the target much faster than the looping line. That's a good thing he does.
Recognize I was wrong. Spence beats him 21 times out of 20.
And by the way,
you know what? Also, he keeps his shoulders shrugged where he's protecting his chin, and those elbows are also tight to protect his rib cage. As he's walking forward, taking 1 step, 2 steps, he's very fundamental.
Yeah, he's very well schooled and more well schooled than Crawford, who's more of a improvisational fighter there with his hands down. Guys, well, let's go to the phone lines real quick. See if somebody still has something to say about this fight. Come on, 832, you're on the air. 832, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was gonna say something about the Yard fight. I actually think Anthony Yard won the fight. I think he got robbed.
Oh, I didn't see it, so I can't give up.
Look, it was one of them where it was a close fight. And when it's close, there's not a robbery either way. I mean, look, Anthony Yard acted like a petulant child, man. I mean, this is a problem when you surround yourself with yes men. And as for his trainer, you've got to put his fucking gum shield in twice. I mean, this guy just doesn't get any more amateurish than it doesn't, man. I mean, the fucking guy is useless. And if Anthony Yard wants to move on, then for me, he has to pack his bags, go to the States, because he's got a very American style. He's picked it. He's obviously been watching American fighters and tried to, but he just doesn't have the attributes to fight like that. His little short T-Rex arms were the problem all night. He was lunging in, weren't he? But as soon as he actually started fighting inside, the fight started to turn his way. But he left it too late. I mean, look. I mean, it's a long road back for you. 2 defeats now, and they're like, well, how many fights has he had? I mean, not fucking.
Wait a minute. Anthony Yard has a trainer. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he might as well. He might as well be a fucking cheerleader, man.
I said earlier on my live that Anthony Yard needs to strap Tunde Ajayi to a rocket and shoot him off to the moon. That's the only thing he's going to do to get any better. Because Tunde Ajayi is his entire problem. And, that and the fact that Anthony Yard believes he can box. He believes that he can stand out there with those slick little head movements and box. Takes more to it than that. Like, Anthony Yard was a bit delusional at the end of that fight, talking about he beat him clearly and all of this nonsense. Look, kid,
Anthony Yard proved, right, how little confidence boxers have in themselves sometimes, But I mean, look, he's going to the game plan that Tunde comes up with, right? And surely he knows that this is not going to work. I mean, when he told him to blow his load in the 8th round against Kovalev, I mean, what? Sometimes fighters have to use their own initiative and take control. Sometimes the trainer's not telling them the right things in there. Like, how many times have you seen trainers telling their fighters that they're winning the fight when they're not? And you know what I mean? You've got to be real with these fighters. You've got to say, look, you're getting your fucking ass whooped. You've got to step on the gas. Let these fighters know. Yard's going in there thinking that he's nicking the fight because he's got this clown in the corner telling him he's probably winning every round. I mean, sometimes you've got to be... And this is what happens when you surround yourself with yes men. Anthony Yard deserved what he got the other night. For me, it was a dreadful fight. I mean, there's just nothing to get excited about in that fight at all. And it was like a Joe Joyce performance where the jab won the day, sort of thing. But
that's right.
Anthony Yard didn't change nothing up.
He's too jittery. He's trying to sell you these jittery moves as feints. And why do you have to throw all these? Why do you have to make all these as necessary movement when you're only getting pieced up by the jab? You're trying to sell your movement as feints, but you're not drawing out the right hand of the opponent. The opponent is only tagging you up with that jab. So why you got to do all these jittery half feint, not selling it to your opponent, and your opponent is only tagging you with the jab? Fight him. Go there and fight him. Fuck the feints. Close the distance. Go to.
Speaking of feints, Did you guys see last night when once Spence, I think it was the 11th round, he did like 3 feints in a row. See how bad Danny bought those? It was crazy. I don't know why I didn't do it more often.
In regards to the Yard fight, yeah, Caller, it seems like Yard didn't learn from the Kovalev fight at all. He was still getting pieced up by jabs. He's got a pretty good defense for the right hand. I mean, whenever Yard threw it, I think he threw 3 right hands throughout the whole fight. But when he did throw it, Yard has a good shoulder roll, but that jab defense of his, he's too much. He doesn't time it well. He's already on the side, giving his side of the body, which means he's got nowhere to go for the jab, and he can't parry it all that well either. So, but Caller, so you thought, or did you say you or your friends thought Yard got robbed? I forget.
Well, I saw the fight, and I honestly think that he kind of won. Like, to me, it was close, but I feel like it was close enough, like, to where like you could tell that he did more. Well, he definitely did more damage than the other dude. Like the other dude, he had a good jab, but I mean, I guess it's true what Stu was saying about his trainer or whatever. But I mean, I honestly heard something that actually served Anthony Yard that his trainer told him, and that was when you get him by the ropes, that's when you're supposed to like unload your hooks and all that, hurt him. And like I think he told him that in the 11th round, and then like in the 11th and 12th round, that's exactly what he did. So I mean,
yeah. Look, Anthony Yard's too worried about trying to look pretty instead of getting the job done.
Exactly.
And the thing is, 11 rounds to realise that something's not working. I mean, it's just inexcusable, man. And this is the thing. Fighters just... I don't get why fighters just don't use their own initiatives. These trainers, right? There's a reason why they're not in the ring. Because most of them were never fucking good enough to be in a ring. So why are you listening to these guys? They're all right to hold your pads and sometimes they can see things that you're not seeing in there. But it should be short, simple, basic stuff from the trainer. When these trainers try to make everything... They come out these
That's why I think Danny should leave his father, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what one caller said.
When you see these trainers, Ben Davison, I mean, he fucking overanalyzes.
Yeah, there you go. Ben Davison would probably work for him.
But you know what? It's interesting because that's what Stu, you brought up a good point. It's one thing to be a technical trainer and be able to hold the pads and tell a guy how to, show a beginner how to throw shots. But once you get to the high level amateur world and the professional, you need a guy who's a good psychologist too, a guy who knows when and how to talk to a guy and when to, like Gonzalo said, light a firecracker under a guy's ass. And
sometimes the most simple instructions, bro.
Exactly,
you don't need to put too much into a fighter's head.
Exactly. Now,
BDA, I thought the whole reason. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just say goodbye to the caller. Caller, thank you for calling in, man. Catch you on the next one, all right, man?
All right.
All right. Hold on, Gonzalo, because I gotta take one call here. Somebody's been waiting for a while.
Yes, sir.
202, you're on the air. 202. What's on your mind?
Hello?
202, you're on the air. What's on your mind, man?
Hello? Hey.
All right.
How you doing?
How you doing, man? What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah. As far as the fight last night, I was actually surprised by Spence. I was surprised that he came in and he did as well as he did. I mean, I think a lot of people are not taking into consideration that he got thrown out of a moving car. Like most people wouldn't even have survived. To come back into the ring and perform as well as he did. I mean, that says a lot. Like not to just his boxing skills, but him as a person. Like in general. But as far as Danny Garcia, I think Danny Garcia and along with Sean Porter, they get a real bad shake. I mean, are they top tier of the division? No, they're probably not. But they are formidable fighters. And, I think that anybody who goes up against Danny Garcia or Sean Porter, for that matter, will run into some problems.
Yeah, but the difference is, Caller, Sean Porter puts everything on the line. He goes to win. He tries everything possible to win the fight. And most of the time, he does win the fight, and it probably doesn't go his way. But look, Danny, for me, he's never looked close to winning them fights. And not just that, he's been on the end of some robberies as well, where he robbed Herrera. I mean, Ashley Theopome for me was a robbery back in the day. There's other robberies, you know. So look, I mean, Lamont Peterson was a close fight. That could have gone either way. Do you know what I mean? So he's had his decisions go his way. It's just that Danny just, for me, always falls short. And it's not through talent either. It's just through trying. And that's my problem with him. I mean, it's like saying he threw 700 punches, but most of them were just nothing punches.
That's the thing. Let me ask you guys. Do you think
some good punches, Stu? He landed good punches.
He did land good, but I'm saying there's a lot of those 700 punches, right, were nothing punches. There's a reason why he lost massively on the cards.
But let me ask you, fellas, something. Fellas, did you see 700 shots being thrown from Danny Garcia? I have to rewatch the fight, but I was watching,
I mean, I'm not gonna say quite 700, but yeah, he was throwing punches.
I did blow by blow commentary. He threw a lot of shots.
I think
they're counting shots off the forearm.
Towards the end of the.
But let me say something.
Towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, towards the end of the fight. Maybe that's when. All right, Gonzalo, go ahead.
Yes, Danny Garcia, Danny Swift Garcia, the little short shots that he lands, those are his power punches. It might be a little deceiving to the eye. The shots that you don't think he puts a lot on, those are the ones that hurt the most that he throws. You just gotta watch that from Danny Garcia. But another. Errol Spence is tough as fuck. Danny Garcia's punches were bouncing off of Errol Spence because Errol Spence is a hard man. Both of those guys.
Furman went the distance, right? Furman won that fight on cards. Josedito Lopez was all over Furman like a rash. I mean, look, a monster in there when Furman was running for his life. Danny never even looked close to doing what Josedito Lopez did to Thurman. Come on, man. I mean, look, it's not just Errol, is it? It's not
Errol's coming forward, though.
Let the caller go ahead. Caller, go ahead.
Well, I think with Danny, I think Danny's issue is that he lives by the sword and he dies by the sword. Danny waits. He waits. He's a counterpuncher, and he's a counterpuncher at heart. And he's you know, like in the beginning of the fight, and that's one thing that I have to tilt my hat off to Danny, is because towards the end of the fight, he started to mix it up just a little bit more. And you see that, you know, like in the beginning of the fights, he was getting caught with a lot of shots. And, you know, like, at towards the end of the fight, he didn't throw as many as, you know, like you would like him to have, but he did, you know, like kind of switch it up. It was like, all right, I got to throw a little bit more. It was like towards maybe like the 9th, 8th round, you know, he's like, all right, I got to throw a little bit more shots. And, you know, like, but I think that in itself is Danny's biggest problem. Is that he lives by the sword and he dies by the sword. If he doesn't get you with that timing, because Danny fights, you know, like Danny fights that he wins, you know, like it's because he timed, you know, like a perfect punch. He timed the perfect shot that, you know, like the person doesn't see. But, you know, like Spence,
that's right.
Guy, you know, he doesn't. If you watch him punch, if you watch Spence punch, he doesn't fully commit his body into any of his punches. All of his punches are in a straight line. And he's, you know, like he's very fundamental. You know, when he approaches.
Well, can I say one thing? Can I say one thing about the CompuBox? I'm looking at the CompuBox here, just for posterity here, and to put things into perspective. According to the CompuBox from Boxing Scene, Garcia threw 38 shots in the first round, 45 in the second, 58 in the third, so he started going up gradually, 64 in the fourth, 67 in the fifth, so he was going high. Then he went back to 50 in the sixth round, meaning he sort of tried to pace himself. But then in the last round, where he seemed to be the most active, indeed, CompuBox reflects that he threw 71 shots. So, caller, it would appear, like you said, that he did let his signs go a little bit later, but according to the CompuBox here in the beginning, he was upping the tempo as it went along, right?
Yes, I saw that too.
I'm not sure if I actually can take those numbers.
I don't know what people... Go look at the fight. He did throw a lot of punches as the rounds go... As the rounds were going by. So was Spence.
All right, caller. Let's get the caller. Let's get the caller to finish something here, and then we'll get back to you guys. All right, hold on a second. All right, caller. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
I just wanted to, like, end it off by saying, like I said before, I think fighters like Danny and Porter don't get their just due. They're awesome fighters, and like I said before, any fighter would have a problem going up against them, and like I said, I took my hat off to Spence as well. I mean, both. It was a good fight. It was a good show. I mean, from a guy who, we didn't know what to expect. After the car accident, him not even being in the ring for a whole year. I mean, he did seem a little rusty to me, just a little bit, because his timing on that left hook to the body that he throws after, that feint that he normally does, it was kind of off. I seen it was kind of off, but outside of that, it was an amazing fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight, man. I glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for your call, man. We'll catch you in the
Finally,
next
some
one.
positivity. Thank you, caller.
As the
Finally,
fight
some
was going
positivity,
along,
man.
Yeah, fight was going along.
Yeah, well,
Danny was throwing a lot more punches.
Danny, Sean Porter gets his just due. He gets respect. Danny Garcia don't do shit that's just.
Errol Spence reminds me of Golovkin for some reason. Not the style, the caliber, something about him.
All right, fellas. Just before we continue, I gotta read a super chat, and then I'll let you guys do it. That guy says, "I love the show. Ain't got to see enough recently. Smash that like." Yes, smash that like, and thank you, that guy, for your contribution. All right, you fellas, police yourselves. I got something to do in 2 minutes, but you guys police yourselves. Try not to talk over each other, right, fellas? Take it away.
Roger that.
Well, can I just say one thing, and I'll go quiet, Stu? You're the only person I heard talking right there. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys, so I'm just kind of sit back. But can you hear me though?
Yeah, go ahead,
bro. Okay, brother, because I can't hear myself. But one thing a lot of people are saying about the accident. Listen, my thing, I'm going to say it again. Once they said there was no white ligament damage, no shoulder, no fucking leg, no knee, no back. I mean, everybody talks, well, we don't know how he was because of damage in his face. I mean, his damage in his face, he's a boxer. He gets damage in his face all the time. Himself, he hasn't yet. But the teeth, I can understand worried about knocking his teeth out. He's a fucking, kid doesn't want to walk around with his teeth out. But I don't think that was ever really going to be an issue. And I don't think he fought like it was an issue. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, no, I mean, most of us picked Errol to win, so that tells you what you need to know. Even after the car crash, we thought he'd be too good for Danny Garcia. And
I thought Errol was good. I think the reason they took this fight is because they knew Errol was good. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
Now there was the actual.
Thank you. Me too.
He was good enough. But I don't think he was 100%. I've seen better Errol than this.
Yeah.
But he was good enough.
Do you think was ring rust precise, or do you think that was car accident related?
I don't know. I think obviously it was probably the ring rust, but also the accident more from a mental standpoint. Because look, man, if any of us had this shit happen to us and we were high level athletes, like we know it's a game of inches. All of us would have gone in that ring and questioned ourselves a little bit. At least a little bit. But as soon as he took a few good punches, I think he was all good. Go ahead.
I was just saying, hang on a second. I don't think he looked as strong as he usually does as well. Just didn't look as strong either.
He looked strong to the body, Stu. When he was going to the body, he still looked as strong.
Yeah.
I'm on about just his physique and his just a way, because usually just steamroll.
Have you noticed, Stu? The last 3 fights, he's coming in lean.
He's looking a lot leaner. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing really, because this guy was actually struggling to make weight when he fought Cal Brook all those years ago. How is he still making it?
He didn't have a nutritionist, then, dude. He hired a nutritionist.
I'll take the nutritionist, but he is looking a little more almost skeletal at this weight, and I'm wondering if that's what's possibly costing him that punching power. But when he was coming up.
That could be the case. It could be the case, mate. Yeah,
because if he's comfortable making that weight, and he's not skeletal in the whole process, I think that he would have that performance that I said at the beginning of the show that I really wanted to see him do. I think he probably could have done it. I think his punches would have been stronger. I don't know if he's. I don't know what's causing the.
That's what it's that is what is causing it, because he's a puncher that predicates on breaking you down. He's
fighting. No.
Could be drug testing too.
He's fighting better level of opposition. Like when you fight Rams, you knock him out. and then you step up the level of opposition. Nobody knocks out Danny. Nobody knocks out Porter. I mean, he's fighting. This is what this guy is doing. Unlike that other fucking chump who's ducking everybody. Okay, let's just keep it real. Doesn't want to fight anybody.
I'd love to know.
Hold on. Unlike that guy, Errol Spence is cleaning out the fucking division, fighting all the best available guys. Terence Crawford is cherry picking and fighting Terence Crawford has never fought an established top level welterweight. He has never fought an established legit welterweight. Never.
Okay, that's a fair statement. Also, a fair statement is the fact that Danny Garcia had received a contract from Top Rank to fight Terence Crawford and didn't negotiate.
Dude, you don't know what was on that piece of paper. You don't know if it ever got to where they say it got to. Stop.
Carl Moretti sent it to Al
I don't care what Carl Moretti said.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm not interested in any of that, okay?
Then don't bring it up.
Bring what up?
If you bring it up as a
Bring what up?
and then you don't want to hear the response to it, then it's not valid.
Bring what up?
You said he's ducking everybody, and I think he's saying that
he is. Of course he is.
But if he's offering contracts to people like him,
he's not taking the fights he should be taking. Let's be real.
Exactly. He's cherry picking.
It's been a while now. We've been waiting for a top opponent. Whether it's Bob's fault, whether it's Al Heyman's fault, I don't care. All I know is when I'm looking at who Terence Crawford fighting, he's not fighting.
I was going to say, who's the top opponents outside the PBC?
Exactly. That's a valid point. So let's calm this down.
So you guys don't know. So you don't know about Terence Crawford saying, "I won't fight Sean Porter." There's a video of him saying it. There's a video of Bob. Hold on.
I won't fight Terence Crawford.
There's a video of Terence Crawford saying he doesn't want to fight Sean Porter. Bob Arum is saying,
hold on. Porter saying the same thing.
Bob Arum.
You've interrupted me 4 times, and I try and say the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to Sean Porter and Terence Crawford, that's an even 50-50. They've both said they don't want that fight at different times. They both have.
That's ridiculous, then. Well, I mean, why would Terence Crawford say, even if he said it once and Sean Porter said it once, why would Terence say he doesn't want that fight when he doesn't have
Why would he ever say that? Why would he ever say that when he doesn't have any options?
Okay, but if you're going to throw that against Terence Crawford, why aren't you going to hold it against Sean Porter for saying the same
I don't give a fuck about Sean Porter. I don't give a shit. Sean Porter has fought everybody. Come on, dude. Like, what are you looking at? You're telling me Sean Porter?
I'm bringing this up, and then you're dismissing it because you're not listening.
But the facts are that Terence Crawford fights bums and nobodies, and Sean Porter has fought everybody.
Okay, they're all in the same.
Errol Spence Jr. has fought everybody.
They're all in the same pot. They're all
we can sit here and say why that is, but the fact still remains that Errol Spence Jr. is cleaning out the division, and Terence Crawford is giving you sham fights. He never fought a single
Crawford's fighting anyone they put in front of him. He's putting anyone they'll put in front of him. None of the PBC has bothered to try and fight him. You can laugh if you want to, but
Broner turned down 4.
Jimmy, how about?
Oh, Broner, come on, man.
I'm just saying. Listen, this is what happened, though. This is a fact. He turned down $4.5 million to fight Crawford. He did. He straight up turned down.
And when all of that was happening, Go ahead.
No, I was just saying Crawford should be looking to fight the likes of Broner, a specialist in losing. I mean, this guy should be looking
that was 3 years ago, bro. That was 3 years ago. But I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it's all Terence's fault, but look, it's in front of you. You can't do what I mean. Look, sometimes I don't agree with Precise, but I have to back him on this one. It's in front of you. Facts are facts.
Spence has no one else to clean out now. What excuse is he going to have now? He either fights Crawford now. Who's he going to fight now? He has no excuse anymore.
Okay.
Like when
neither one of them do.
Let me say the whole thing out. Okay, first of all, as far as his quality of competition at welterweight, I have not argued with you on that. I haven't. I'm not going to.
Bums. He never fought a legit welterweight.
Am I going to get to finish one time before you stop interrupting me and saying the same thing, please? Could you please show me that respect, and I'll be happy to listen to you. Can you do that for me, please? Okay. Yeah. You are completely right as quality competition. I have not argued that. The point is,
you can't argue that.
I didn't think I was done yet. You keep doing this to me, right? Because the point is the simple fact that
I think I could interrupt you a little bit and then let you talk. It'll be okay. You'll be fine. Go ahead.
Okay, let's put our big boy pants on and listen and listen to each other. So here's the thing.
I'm not the one who's nervous, bro.
All right. You guys gotta.
I'm not nervous. Trust me. I'm not
fellas, we gotta have some. I told you to police yourselves.
There's a little bit too much Crawford love on this show.
All right, but hold on. It's a boxing show, for Pete's sakes. We're getting tangled up a bit. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, look, your points, both of your points, especially you, Stu, we talked about this before. His quality competition is on point. It hasn't happened. These fights haven't happened. The difference is when he's been asked about who he wants to fight next, he hasn't. When he even first said he was vacating the 140 belt, I want them all, and he named them. These guys aren't doing the same thing for him. And contracts have been sent to some of these fighters, maybe not all of them, but to some of them, and they haven't returned. They haven't signed. They have not. And last night, Spence the same way. He didn't call him out right after it was done. I understand he didn't call anybody out. There's a fair point to that. But that's the next fight everyone's expecting. That's the next fight everyone wants to hear off each one of their lips. They're not calling Terence out. Now, does Terence need to start saying, Bob, get me to these fights or I'm out of here? Yes, he does. There's a point on that side also, and you're absolutely right on that. Spence needs to say the same thing. I want Bud Crawford next, or I'm not going to do business with you anymore. Al.
Not really.
It's
not
a little
really,
bit of a two-way
Jay. Errol Spence just came back from an accident and fought a top guy. He's going to go home, take his break, and while everybody's clamoring for him to fight this guy, he's relaxing. Okay, Terence Crawford hasn't fought anybody in a couple of years, maybe three years already. The work that people are wanting for these guys to put in together now, Errol Spence got more credit because he's got the better resume. Well, Terence Crawford hasn't done any of that work. That's why there's more that has been asked of Terence that he hasn't delivered to say, oh, okay, they should fight now.
I haven't argued that.
It's not going to happen.
It's
not going to happen.
My part is the fact that
now, can I go now? I've been listening very patiently. Can I go now? Look.
Yes, please. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When there was rumors of all these contracts being sent to the PBC guys 2 years ago, I was on here ripping into their asses, okay? For damn sure. I don't have no fucking dog in this race. That's what happened. But then when it came to Porter and Terence Crawford blatantly said he won't fight him, Bob Arum called him out on live fucking pay-per-view TV saying that Terence Crawford doesn't want to fight Sean Porter. Where was that same energy from you guys?
But see, Sean Porter did the exact same thing when he had the WBC set up. I'm sorry.
Okay, great. Fuck Sean Porter. He's a pussy. Okay, great. But then it came around for Terence. Look, Sean Porter, all these guys in the PBCs, they got options. They don't have to just because Terence Crawford, some kind of contract gets sent to them, they're gonna put everything on hold because Terence is supposedly sending on contract. Fuck that. Wait your fucking turn. However, on the other hand, when the opportunity comes knocking to the guy who hasn't fought anybody, he needs to jump all over that to prove you correct. Okay, because I criticize the PBC guys for not taking the fights. You failed to criticize Terence Crawford. You're protecting his ass for the exact same thing you criticize the other guys for doing. I don't have that double standard. You do. That's the point.
It comes across this way because you don't know me. It doesn't come across that way to you right now because you don't know me. But I'm usually on the sites where you take a side A or B, and the side you're hearing from me is the B side of the Terence Crawford side. I do know that you're right. He has not fought the best competition. It's time for him to step up. I'm admitting that you are right on that. If it came across the wrong way, sorry about that. I'm used to being in debates where people make it sound like Terence doesn't want these fights and he's scared of them. I don't believe that. That doesn't mean
I agree with you.
That doesn't mean that you're not right. The fact that he needs to. He's 33. You've done great in the past. What are you doing for us now? It's time for you to step up and make Bob Arum get you these fights, or hang it up.
How do you feel about the Kell Brook fight? What do you think that shit was? What was your feeling about that fight?
I was pissed off that he couldn't find anybody better. But then I stopped and looked at outside of Jerome Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, who may not be ready yet. Outside of a PBC fighter, what's left for him
he
there?
He could have found someone better. He could have found a lot of different better
outside
fighters.
of a PBC fighter, who are you referring to? I would like to know, and I'm all ears. Go ahead.
Kell Brook at 154 pounds is a better fighter than Kell Brook at 147 pounds with the dehydration clause.
That's a very fair
statement. There are so many fighters that are better than a Kell Brook who is completely and utterly drained. That was a disgrace what happened on that night.
So at 147, though, who else could he have fought that's left? Who hasn't been beaten? Who's outside of the PBC?
Dude, you could pick anybody. You could pick anybody, and they're going to be better than Kell Brook. Now, it might not sell. It might not get the casuals on them, but he could have fought Sean Porter. He could have, because at that time, that fight was offered. And
See, listen, I gotta step in here. You guys know I don't follow this whole negotiations and all that because usually it only gives us a picture of what's going on. It's a fragment, and you got to put everything together like a puzzle. One thing that I am curious about, precise. Do you think Crawford is afraid of fighting Errol Spence?
No, Crawford doesn't want to put the work in that Errol Spence is putting in. He wants Errol Spence to collect all the belts so he could go fight, roll the dice, go fight in the unification fight, and perhaps beat Spence. He wants Errol Spence to get beat up. This is exactly what Mayweather did to Pacquiao. You clean out the division for me, and I'm going to swoop in when you're all beat up and I finally grow a pair of balls to fight you. Terence Crawford is doing the same shit Mayweather did and a lot of other guys have done in the past, where they don't put in the work, and then when it comes to the negotiating table, they want 50%. He's a fucking diva. Like,
okay,
I wish you guys could keep it real. I do think he wants to fight Errol Spence, but he doesn't want to fight that middle fight. He's gonna, and this is another problem because he's gonna go from fighting B level opposition straight to A level. Or not even B level, because who the fuck is Caballeros? He's a nobody.
Is that fight gonna happen now? Because Crawford did show up. I mean, I know that doesn't mean much, but I mean, it's the fact that he showed up is maybe he's open to making some overtures in terms of negotiation.
Barbarian forced them. Barbarian forced them to show up there.
Okay, but it's gonna happen probably, right?
No.
It will. I don't think it's gonna happen. If Terence Crawford takes what he deserves, which is 35-40%. If he's willing to take that, the fight will happen because again, Errol Spence is putting in all the work. He's got the fans. He's got the pay-per-view sales. Anytime Terence Crawford was on pay-per-view, it fucking flopped. He hasn't fought anybody. He's not bringing who is Terence Crawford? He's not even
the number one. All right. Well, I've been called a fanboy and some other names because I
number one what?
Well, he number one watched in 2019, 1.7 million on cable last year. He also put 14,000 seats in Madison Square Garden. So he's not exactly not doing anything. And I know from what contracts when they're tweeted out and Bob's talked about it. You talked about Bob. I'm just being honest. You said, well, Bob even called him out. Yes, I called him out for the Broner thing. Yes, I believe he needs a haircut. I believe he should take 45 and give Spence 55 because I don't believe for a second the pay-per-view numbers they're saying he put out because who's saying to put him out? The guy's promoting him, not the carrier. The provider, Fox or Showtime, has not once named his numbers. So that 300,000, like fucking Davis sold 250.
Who's giving the fans? Who's giving the fans better fights, Spence or?
Okay, all right, but let me finish. Yes, Spence is giving better fights, but I also think
he deserves more money.
I don't rate Danny Garcia as the top welterweight. I just don't because he hasn't done anything at welterweight to be a top welterweight. He's not beating anybody, even close. In fact, he lost to a guy who went on to lose to a shell of Manny Pacquiao, who looked shit against Lopez. I'm just saying, I don't think Danny's that fucking great. That's just me. I shit on him wholeheartedly for that, not taking that Porter fight. But when there was all those PBC fighters at one point, Bob did, whether it was whatever happened, they didn't want to take it. And I was told that they wouldn't even negotiate, put it that way. Bob was right out and said it. They won't even answer our phone calls. I offered him $4.5 million at the time, was 1.3. What's that?
Jimmy, that's like we don't really know what goes on behind.
What do you mean, dude? But you can't sit there in one breath quote Bob saying he even shit on him. When I say Bob saying I offered, but listen, let me finish, dude. Broner came out and even admitted he was offered 4.5, which at the time was a 1.5 million more than he was ever offered for any fight, and he said fuck that. So he did say fuck that.
Yeah, but what? Jimmy, we were on here 3 years ago. Fucking throwing Broner under the bus, like that ship has sailed. We don't even want to see that fight.
All right, it's ship has sailed, but one after another. If these guys in the PBC won't answer the call,
but why aren't you guys
supposed to do?
What I'm saying? He had the Sean Porter fight on the.
That's the one thing that's the only thing you can call it. It's the one fight you can hang your hat on. And I can say Broner, I can say Guerrero, all those other guys were still hanging around when he turned to 147, and none of them would touch him.
I criticize all of those guys. Now, if you were fair, you would criticize Terence Crawford for ducking Sean Porter. Like I could.
What do you mean if I'm fair, dude? Dude, Calm
You
down.
know what? I
But
think
look,
what's going.
I'm not. When am I ever not fair? I just said I shat on him for fucking not taking the
we're
Broner
just
fight.
having dialogue here, boys. Just, you know,
I
that's
know.
all it is.
I'm just. But I don't get personal like that. That's unfair and the fucking shit he says after I comment, and then he starts off. I just don't understand where your fucking anger
Fellas,
comes from.
here's the
Terence
issue.
Crawford, so Terence
Here's
Crawford ducked Porter, right?
No, they ducked each other straight up. They pulled that we're
Oh
friends,
my
we don't want to
God.
fight shit. But they did. But you're saying that Porter didn't say he didn't want to fight either? They both
No,
said
I
it.
think okay, that's your opinion. That's fine. I don't
Well,
believe that.
it's not my opinion. Broner said it.
Oh, hold on, hold on. If I may ask,
Porter said it.
Yeah,
if
that's
I may
not an
ask,
opinion. That's a fact. They both said that.
all right.
Yeah.
So if I may, okay, let me get Dean here. D, you follow the negotiations and all that too as well. I know you. What happened here? Did these guys who avoided who? Did they both avoid each other? Is this just one of the things that happens in boxing?
Well, this is what happened initially when Porter had the WBC belt. He wasn't interested. He came out and said he wasn't interested in having a Crawford fight. At the time, Crawford said he was willing to fight everybody over there. Okay. Once Porter got locked up with Spence and the whole situation with that went on, Kenny Porter said that he wants Sean Porter and Crawford to fight. And Crawford and Sean Porter at that point, he said the cards on the table with them. Those guys say they don't want to fight. Crawford came out in an interview and in an article and said he's not looking to fight Sean Porter. He has no interest in fighting Sean Porter. And if that's the last thing on the table that's in front of him, then he may consider fighting Sean Porter. But he came out and said he didn't want to fight Sean Porter. Now, the current situation is that Sean Porter is the mandatory. He's calling for the fight. He just said last night that he would much rather that fight than his position that he has with WBC because he was awarded the winner of the Spence versus Danny fight. He said he would much rather go to
Can
the
I ask you
Crawford side,
something,
which
Z?
Crawford is saying that he's not willing to take that fight now. So it's went back and forth. They've mutually agreed, and that's the situation with Terence Crawford.
When Porter was asked to fight Crawford and he said he didn't want it, that was when he had the Spence fight lined up. That was back in the day, right? That's what we're talking about.
Right, that's correct. That's
Right.
correct.
Okay, right. So I criticized Porter for all that, but damn sure I remember that. Now, currently, what we're talking about now, boys and girls, like forget all that shit in the past. I was on the ball with all of you back then. We agreed a million times. Now the thing that's happening is that Porter, who doesn't have much going on right now because he already had the Spence fight or whatever, now he wants the Crawford fight because it's convenient for him. And Crawford, instead of fighting Sean Porter, like Bob Arum said, decided to drain Kell Brook, which was a disgrace. So now Terence Crawford needs to be criticized because everybody else was already criticized, and I agreed with all of you. But
as much
now
as I
you're
agree with
jumping. But now, hold on. But now I'm getting jumped on because I'm keeping it 100% straight down the middle and treating everybody equally.
Well, hold on. Can I say something? Can I say something? Hold on. Let me just say something real quick. Let me say something. Let me say something real quick. Let me say something. Let me say something real quick. Let me say something real quick. Nobody's jumping on you, precise. I mean, we're just having a dialogue over here. It's fucking boxing, for Pete's sakes. Second of all, there is an argument to be made though with Terence Crawford, who won championships in 2 weight classes, and he looks so dominant. And then against the few welterweights that he has fought, he's looked pretty dominant too. So in my eyes, the past work he's done could potentially supersede some of the work other welterweights have done and get Terence Crawford a title shot at Spence. Now, yes, is it a bit unfair that Spence had to go through Brook, Porter, and now Garcia, and then all of a sudden Crawford just swoops in and takes that fight? Maybe. But let's not make it out to be as if Crawford's just some nobody gold medalist who came out and with all the right connections fought nobody, and then all of a sudden he's being given this fight in a silver platter. The guy's put in the work too, Crawford. Now, at welterweight, of course, like you guys are talking about contracts this, contracts that. I don't know what to say to that because I don't follow the thing. So I got to take each of you at your word, and some of you guys have different storylines, so I don't know which one to follow. I will say though
I disagree. Terence Crawford has not. He's had it easy. He's had a very easy career.
Yeah, I agree. At welterweight though, at welterweight and junior welterweight, he fought whoever was there. They weren't exactly the greatest.
He weight bullied a bunch of bums below and ran from Postal for 12 rounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hold on a second. Before we
look, the thing that I have a problem with is that I criticize all these guys, and now that I'm bringing up the fact that instead of Brook, which was a disgrace. Whatever happened to fighter safety? I mean, come on. that fight was a disgrace. Instead of that fight, we could have gotten Sean Porter. But when I bring that up, like everyone wants to talk about Porter ducking Crawford in the past, but that's not what's on the table right now.
If I may, on that one, if memory serves, and I could be wrong, I don't think that Porter was the mandatory contender for Terence Crawford at that time. He did not become mandatory until just before this fight, last night's fight, got ironed out because Danny Garcia was the number one contender all the way up until probably about a month ago for Terrence's belt. Now, having said that, we will see what happens from there on if Top Rank plus Crawford wants to honor their number one contendership like they're supposed to, like every champion should, or if something else is going to happen. We don't know how that's going to play out yet.
But don't you guys want to see that fight?
What's that?
Don't you want to see that fight?
Oh yeah, of course I do. I didn't understand what he was saying when he.
Bro, you gotta pay attention to what's going on because Crawford, which is not really in good conversations with Aaron right now, and but you would have to agree that both of them are looking in the direction of Pacquiao because for Aaron it's more lucrative, and for Crawford that's what he's talking about. He ain't talking about no Sean Porter. He's talking Pacquiao, fam.
Errol Spence
too big of a risk.
All right, hold on. Can I say something before real quick? Because somebody's been waiting on the phone and I won't be able to. I already answered, so they have to stay on the line. 10 seconds. All right, don't worry. You can forget about the 10 seconds. You can still stay on the line. 334, you're on the air. 334. You want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, what's going on? It's Tony's Reviews. How you doing?
Good, man. Listen, we're having a conversation here about Porter, Crawford, Spence, who ducked who, blah blah blah. Do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I will. Before I weigh in on that, D, how you doing after your surgery?
I'm feeling better, bro. I've just been laying back here, kind of listening, and I'm laying in the bed now. I appreciate you asking, Tony.
Hey, wait a minute. What surgery did you have?
All right, man.
I mean, if I can ask, if I can actually forget it, I shouldn't ask. I asked on instinct. I shouldn't ask, but you went through surgery. I didn't know that, man. The fuck?
Man, BD, I'm just coming off of a surgery. That's why I haven't been really active on YouTube lately.
So if I may, just for a second, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better and recovering well. I didn't know you had surgery either, and I'm just glad to hear you're doing okay.
Hey, by the way, people are saying
I was about to punch you in the stomach. Thanks for telling me that.
I know. Might have to take it easy on D, man.
Yeah, I was about to punch you.
No, don't take it easy.
By the way, people are already saying in the chat room, people are already making jokes. They're saying St. Brit says sex change. Vince Vega says penis enhancement. Let me tell you something. If I go to a surgery, I don't need no penis enhancement. I'm very well endowed already. Let's just put it that way. All right, Tony.
That's what your boyfriend said. I heard. Yep.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hey, calm down,
Tony, you need them to shave a couple inches off.
All right, Tony, go ahead.
Well, let's let Tony speak.
Let Tony go ahead.
I look at it.
Hey, come down with Mr. BDA recognized.
A bit saying about Porter and Bud. I think they canceled each other out because at different times they both said they didn't want to fight each other. So that's pretty much a wash. If you say Bud dodged Porter, then you have to say Porter dodged them. Like, it's a wash in my opinion because they both are on record saying they didn't want to fight each other, so that's irrelevant. But here's what you got to look at. Errol Spence, all right? People keep talking about his resume. Well, let's talk about his resume. If we're going to talk about resumes, we've got to compare resumes. Bud Crawford, by his 27th fight, was already a two-time division champion. How many divisions has Errol Spence conquered? Then, furthermore, by his 32nd fight, which, Errol hasn't made it there yet, he was undisputed in his second weight division. His very first fight at welterweight, he beat the man that beat Pacquiao, who Pacquiao just beat one-time Keith Thurman, who was considered one of the best of the division. In his first fight at welterweight, not only did he beat Jeff Horn, but he dominated him. Now, whether you want to say Jeff Horn lost to Manny Pacquiao is irrelevant because in that fight, it was a tough fight for Pacquiao, and Terence came up there and fucking dominated him. He made him look like a little boy against a man. Dominated him. Now, I do agree. Bud Crawford has not fought the hardest welterweights you could fight. I do agree with that statement. But you can't say resume and disregard that Terence Crawford has done way more than Errol Spence has done by resume, because resume doesn't stop in one weight class. It's your whole fucking history of fighting. And by far, Bud has the better resume. By far.
Put down the pom-poms, bro. Put down the pom-poms, bro.
But you can't disregard it. Wait, video. But you can't disregard it when it comes to the welterweight. This is what counts now. The welterweight.
We weren't even talking about what Terence Crawford did 5-7 years ago. That's irrelevant.
I argued with Stu about Kell Brook, how weight drained he was. I went on several different channels, how weight drained he was. Nobody said he was weight drained. Excuse me. Very few people said he was weight drained like I did. Right after the fight, magically everybody says he's weight drained. Get the fuck out of here with this pom-pom shit. The fact is, you don't like what you're hearing, and your pom-poms are getting all wet in
No, I don't like what I'm hearing. You're correct about that. You're absolutely correct.
Let me ask the caller one question if I can.
Hold on. Go ahead, Jay.
Caller, when you were talking about the weight drain, were you talking about Kell Brook being weight drained against Spence or against Crawford?
Bud.
Both? Bud. He said Bud.
Against Bud.
Okay.
All right.
I
now,
didn't know which way you're going with that.
What? BDA, can I ask the caller something real fast?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Take your time. Don't get to say.
Yes. What Crawford did versus Indongo, Beltran, and all those guys does not count against the welters. How does that matter when it comes to the welters? It's irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
How does that
and
matter?
Hold on. Precise. Hold on. I want to hear Tony. I want to hear Tony's play.
Talking too much.
What did Usyk do in the heavyweight division to become a mandatory? Oh, it didn't matter what he did in the cruiserweight. What did Floyd Mayweather?
No, it doesn't matter what Usyk did in the cruiserweight.
Gonzalo, let the man talk. Let the man shoot his wad.
And Mayweather do when they were moving up divisions to get title shots. How they were just jumping from champion to champion. No, what matters
when Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, come on, man. Like,
you can't overdo when you don't like.
Okay.
Sugar Ray beat.
Yes.
Look, hold on, Gonzalo. Look at it like this. We could sit here and say, Jeff Horn. If you want to be dishonest, say Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao, and then, like, you're taking everything out of context. I could just the same way say that Errol Spence just beat the shit out of the guy that sparked Terence Crawford's best victory at welterweight when that guy was in his prime. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like we could play this game all day and all night. The fact of the matter is that one guy is taking legit. Hold on. One guy is taking legit challenges at 147 pounds, and the other guy is robbing the fans, giving them shit fights. That's a fact.
Hold on. Can I say something? I want to say something here. I want to say something because I want to say something. I want to say something.
Hold on. Let the host speak.
Yeah, what the fuck? No. I'm actually going to make something to your point. I'm actually going to say something to your point, Tony. Let's say you had Crawford. We didn't know anything about Crawford's past. Okay, let's say somebody like Men in Black, pen in the face, erases our memory, and all we see are his welterweight performances. Wouldn't you say, "Whoa, who is this guy? I would like to see him in there against Spence." Like, in other words, what
I would say, "Whoa, this guy looks a lot better than Danny Garcia's been looking recently."
So that's my point. So
hold on. A man.
What do you mean? Hold up. I'm actually making a point here, Tony. What are you doing? What are you trying to play at here, Tony? I'm gonna have to mute you, man. What the fuck? All right, listen. So what I'm trying to get at is, wouldn't you guys look at that and say, like what I'm trying to get at is in the ring, his performances. Yeah, okay, he's shown vulnerabilities.
He looks phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie.
But he's shown vulnerabilities too. He can get hit, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But we know he can box. We know he can punch. So doesn't that also based on the performances alone? Don't you guys look at that and go, I want to see him in there against fucking Errol Spence?
Let me answer that first, BDA.
Go ahead, Regnos.
Yeah, as a welterweight, he looks phenomenal. Look at the level of opponents he's looking phenomenal against. Now, I'm not totally shitting on them. I don't know what Benavidez would do against Danny Garcia. I have a feeling Danny beats him. Same thing for Kavaluskas, and the same thing for Jeff Horn. Right? I think he beats. I think that Danny beats those guys. We're not even gonna count Khan because we already saw.
Oh no, let's count Khan.
Right.
Just
we already know the results. He knocked him the fuck out. Right? He just sparked him out. So what I'm saying is, Spence has looked really good as a welterweight against the level of opposition. And I'm not totally shitting on it, but what I'm saying is there is at least to me, there is evidence to say that they are below the opponents that Spence has fought, that in the ring with, and Danny Garcia. That's all I gotta say.
Have him fight the next world champion at welterweight. One of the top. Don't put him in there against Josecito Lopez. That'll be the camel. That'll be the straw that broke the camel's back.
All right, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, Tony. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer. Let's circle back to the last name you said, Amir Khan, okay? Now, this is one thing we could say about Amir Khan. He lacks a chin. When he gets hit there, he gets put to sleep. However, in every single fight Amir Khan's ever been in, he has outboxed every guy he has fought till he came to that point. He has looked amazing outboxing them till he gets rocked and goes into flight mode or he gets put to sleep. He was even outboxing Canelo. What happened when he got in there with Terence Crawford? He got the fucking boxing beat out of him. He wasn't up from round one. The second of the first round.
Canelo. Get out of here, man. He was. Listen. Do you not see when someone's carrying a fight? Canelo could have knocked Khan out in the first if he wanted to, man. As soon as he stepped up the gears, come on, man, outboxing. What Amir Khan did. Oh, come on, man. I hate hearing this. When these fucking clueless fans say Amir Khan was outboxing Canelo.
He didn't outbox Maidana. He did not outbox Peterson.
That wasn't happening.
I think I understand Tony's points, but he just won't stop talking. I actually understand Tony's point because he did do when he fought.
There's no problem. He didn't outbox Canelo at all. Man. I mean, look, Amir Khan.
It's not that he outboxed Canelo, but he wasn't getting outboxed himself either.
He outboxed Crawford too. Crawford knocked him down and then knocked him out. But he was outboxing Crawford easy.
No, hold on. He didn't outbox Crawford. What are you talking about? That was
sure did. He landed more punches.
We're gonna have to rewatch that fight, Precise, because I gotta disagree.
Yeah, you will have to. He was outboxing Crawford.
Well, listen.
Okay, BDA. If you land more punches than the other guy, cleaner punches, are you outboxing the other guy?
Yeah, but I didn't see Khan landing more punches on Crawford.
And all we got to do is just count the punches, right?
Yeah, let's do that then, because I told you, I analyzed that fight before the Kavaluskas fight, and I didn't see...
We'll do it.
All right, we got to do it. Go ahead, Tony, go ahead.
All right.
Okay. How long ago did Manny Pacquiao fight Jeff Horn?
That was about, what, 3 years ago? No, 2 years
4
ago.
years ago.
Two. It was 2 years ago.
4 years ago, okay. How old is he?
Oh, four. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years ago. How old is Manny Pacquiao?
41 now?
41. 42 in January.
42.
Okay.
This month,
41.
yes. On the 19th, I think.
So, do you not think physically a 41-year-old was better 4 years ago? It's 37 years old.
I missed the last question. What was it?
Yeah, I said, do you not think a 41-year-old 4 years ago at 37 physically would have been better shape?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was a bad night for Pacquiao when he separated from Arum.
Well, the referee, I mean.
With Jeff Horn, regardless who you think won, was it?
Dude, he beat the fucking shit out of
It doesn't matter what you think. Only my opinion matters, right? Hey, come on, man. Get out of here.
By the way, yeah, that's one thing I gotta interject here, because look, what happens in the ring is like in Vegas. What happens in the ring stays in the ring, meaning that the ring doesn't lie. That being said, one thing that didn't lie was that the referee, I think they took the same referee from the Hatton Costa Zoo fight. He just let them do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It's cool. It's cool for Tony to have an opinion, but like, how you gonna just like completely ignore dude's just dishonest, man. He takes everything out of context. And then only talks about the context that is relevant to his point. But if there is something that might unhinge his point a little bit, he completely ignores that. And if you have a different opinion, it doesn't matter. You just have to listen to what he has to say because his word is.
Do you know where Jeff Horn spent the weekend after the fight? You know where he spent the hospital.
Right.
After Pacquiao, he spent in the hospital.
How did they not give Pacquiao the 9th round 10-8? Like, that was a robbery. How did they not give him that round 10-8?
Man. Okay, but you know what? I think
Bob had something to do with that.
You know where Pacquiao
So
BDA.
Hold on. I guess I'm go ahead, Tony. One last point.
I
Go
just
ahead.
gotta finish this point.
Okay. Hold on. Recognize, finish your point, and then Tony will finish his point. All right, Tony, you'll finish your point after recognize.
He finished the fight. He spent his time explaining to everybody why why he lost that fight when it looked like he won. Okay, he was coherent. No hospital needed. He was fine. Everything was fine. The Jeff Horn that you're like trying to prop up for Terence Crawford spent it in the hospital, bro. They should have stopped that fucking fight in the 9th round. Had it been Terence Crawford doing that to him, okay, I guarantee you they stopped that fight.
Crawford didn't put half the damage.
All right, let's let Tony.
He couldn't even knock him out. He couldn't knock him out.
All right, let Tony say something because he wants to.
Bacon is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to what I am saying. I'm not sitting here saying that Jeff Horn.
Relevant.
Yeah, your opinion is irrelevant.
Hold on. I want to hear what he has to say, man.
Listen to the fucking point. I am not saying that I believe Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. What I'm saying is, no matter who you believe won, it was still a tough fight for Manny Pacquiao at times. There was times in the clinches where he was getting manhandled by Jeff Horn. There was times in the fight where he was hitting Manny Pacquiao with hard shots. No matter who you think won, it was still a hard fight for Manny Pacquiao.
Okay, but
when Terence
Tony
got in there, he completely manhandled him.
Tony, I gotta ask you a question. Tony, if I get in there with Mike Tyson and I'm allowed to hit him in the balls and the ref doesn't do anything, it's a tough fight for Mike Tyson, but I'm breaking the rules.
It's irrelevant, BDA. It's irrelevant.
I know, but I'm just trying to find some common ground because I agree with Tony to a certain extent. I do think that
he's just dishonest. He's just a
hold on. I'm trying to I build a bridge here between Tony and everybody else because look, I do agree with Tony that Jeff Horn was dirty. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. But you do kind of have to give Crawford credit for the way he broke him down. I mean, he wasn't even Mayweather Hatton, where Hatton had success. Hold on, Gonzalo. Hold on, Gonzalo.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, okay, maybe Horn wasn't allowed to use his dirty tactics in the Crawford fight, but that's also, it shows that Crawford is levels above a guy like Jeff Horn. So I'm going to give him credit with that. And I think I understand where Tony's coming from. I don't agree with the Pacquiao fight because that was too bizarre. That was in Bizarre World. That was in Australia. They have fucking reptiles that come out of the fucking toilet over there. It's disgusting. But what I'm saying is, you got to give him credit nonetheless. So Gonzalo,
BDA,
yeah.
Yes, but Manny Pacquiao's always been a small guy, man. He's always fought bigger guys, and maybe sometimes he struggled. Maybe sometimes he's beaten them convincingly, but he's always been out of his element. Terence Crawford's a bigger guy. You would naturally expect the bigger guy with longer arms to do that against a tough guy like Horn. Manny Pacquiao, just because he's proved to be great throughout the years, that's not the best caliber to judge him against fighters that are equal in size.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's another way.
Right. No, he's right, because if you think about it, Pacquiao, every time he steps in against a welterweight, it's amazing.
I thought the whole point
That's
of this
true.
was we had amnesia.
Exactly,
We all
Jim.
have amnesia. We forgot about what Bud did at all the other weight classes, and we were only comparing him at welterweight. My point at welterweight was when Manny fought Jeff Horn and when Bud fought Jeff Horn, Bud looked better. There's no getting around that. Jeff did try to do dirty stuff with Bud, but guess what? He got manhandled. He wasn't strong enough to hold him in the clinch. He wasn't strong enough to push him down like the other dude was just alluding to. So what you're saying is Bud looks bigger, stronger, and got longer arms than Manny Pacquiao. So therefore, because he looks better, that's applied to Manny Pacquiao? No. You can't do that.
You're 100% true, Troy, but is Jeff Horn a top welterweight?
And Bud looks better. There's no getting around that. So you can't say.
Yeah, but nobody said he didn't. Well, like, what's the point, though? Yo, Tony. Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony. What's your point, though? Like, we agree. What's your point?
My point is that I don't believe Errol Spence has done more than Bud, because the only way that you could say he's done more than Bud is you have to give everybody amnesia and fucking shoot everybody with a pin from Men in Black to make them forget about his history, when the fact is Bud has done more than Errol.
Wait a minute. Precise, hold on. Now he's taking a dig at me. I'm actually trying to help you out here. Tony, I'm trying to help you out here. You're acting like a Mama Luke. You're showing the place no respect. Well,
So
go
hold
ahead,
on, hold on. The point you're trying to make is that you rate the Jeff Horn win very, very highly. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying I rate it very, very
What do
highly. What
you?
I'm
So what's the
saying is,
point of
if
like
you've
this
got two
diatribe?
guys, if you've got two guys who have fought the similar opponent, okay, two guys have fought the similar opponent. One guy struggled with that guy. The other guy was leagues above.
Yeah, we
that
agreed.
guy.
What's your
You can
point?
come
What's
to
your
the
like? Sum it
realization
up.
that maybe
Sum it up.
what?
Like, just give
You're
me the
filler,
punchline.
yeah. Because hold on, it's Tony. You're filler busting. Just because this
We
all
agreed
started.
with you. What's the
What I'm saying
punchline?
is,
This whole thing
I
started.
don't know
Hold
how
on,
you
hold
can
on.
say it any
This
quicker.
whole thing
When you have
started
two guys
because
who have fought
this
the
whole
same
thing.
opponent, one guy
Tony,
struggles with that opponent,
Tony,
the
are
other
you
guy leagues
listening?
above
Tony,
that opponent,
Tony,
then
you gotta
can't
clean
say,
your fuck. Oh my god, this guy. He just keeps going and going and going. Doesn't hear anybody else, man. I'm convinced he's not really listening to us. No, Tony, I gotta tell you something.
I am.
Because this whole start. No, you're not listening. Now you're listening. This whole thing started because we were talking about Crawford, Spence, and whether Crawford deserves a shot at Spence, despite not having beaten any of the top welterweights. Now, I was agreeing with you before you even jumped on here, started talking over each other. I said Crawford, based on what he's done in pound for pound, he may just have a shot to come in here and get a shot on the silver platter. I also said, and my point about the Men in Black thing was that if you erase the past, you still look at Terence Crawford and you go, whoa, look at this guy. He's knocking, guys out. I would like to see him in there against Errol Spence. That's what I'm saying. But you come in here and you start trying to call the shots and talking over each other. I don't think you heard everything I was saying before that.
I'm agreeing with you, BDA. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. I'm not taking shots at you. I'm talking
You
to
better
what
not.
people are in the background.
Otherwise, we're going to have to throw
trying
it down.
Say that, he hasn't done nothing at welterweight, and I'm trying to go off your scenario. If we forgot it all, and all we can see is what he did at welterweight, he won a world title in his first fight at welterweight. So that kills the argument that he hasn't beat anybody at welterweight.
Well, actually, I can agree with that. I can agree with that, but also because I'm on your side a little bit, Tony. But I also see what these guys are saying, which is okay. He's been knocking guys out, but A, he has been looking vulnerable in there, and B, the guys he's beaten aren't exactly. Look, they're not bums, because I hate that word bums, because it makes me think of ass. But it's also, they're not exactly the guys that Errol Spence has been beating. So these guys are saying, look, Errol Spence should maybe, definitely be the favorite based on the fight of his welterweight resume. But also these guys are complaining about the fact that Terence Crawford never beat any of these welterweights. Or am I getting this wrong?
The point, no, hold on. Because he was addressing what I said.
Okay.
Clearly he wasn't paying attention. Because what I said is that Terence Crawford never beat a legitimate established welterweight. Now, you want to say Jeff Horn, and I'm going to have to disagree with you because that was a robbery. So he wasn't a legit welterweight, and he was not established because they stole that title from Pacquiao. So for me, that doesn't count. If you want to give him credit, hey, I don't give a shit. You have not convinced me. Now, when it comes to Amir Khan, I don't even have to say anything about that. When it comes to Brook had not been a welterweight for 3.5 years, so he wasn't even a welterweight. Thus, he was not an established. He wasn't anything welterweight. So, yeah, Terence Crawford has not beaten an established, legitimate welterweight. It never happened. If you want to give him Jeff Horn, I just disagree with you. But that's whatever. I don't care. You can think
where
that.
was Brook fighting? I'm curious. I'm not denying what you're saying.
150, 160
for the last 3 years, Jimmy.
What's that?
He's been at one.
Okay, no, that's what. So was he fighting all his fights at 154?
Yeah, he had one fight.
Okay, that's
all
right. No, I didn't know how long he was. I was asking. That's all.
He had one fight. Look, he had one fight at welterweight in 5 years, and that was against Errol Spence, for which Errol Spence did not give full credit for that fight. And we criticized him because Brook was beat up, right? So imagine now, like how much credit Terence Crawford.
Well, I personally did because he went all the way to London too. That's what impressed me. It just unfortunately PBC didn't take advantage of his because he came off that win. He was the number one name in boxing, and unfortunately they just smothered him. You know what's funny, dude? You know what's crazy? Think about this. I'm just saying this as a point. Vegas had both Danny Garcia and Cal Brook were both the same minus 400. I'm just saying that's what Vegas looked at it.
The problem is these profit-loving ball huggers didn't give Spence the credit. That's the thing.
Oh, I did. I thought that was his best win at the time.
Brook opened 20-1. No, Terence Crawford opened 20-1 favorite. People took the odds because they got scared.
Oh, I was just going by Vegas, dude. The Vegas kickoff was at 400.
No, but during the during the fight, the announcer said that Brook opened as a. I forget if he was a 20-1 underdog or if Crawford was 20-1 favorite, but the odds were staggering. He was like plus 2,000.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I think as boxing fans, we can all agree we want to see the Crawford Spence fight. I mean, enough is enough. We needs to happen 2021, and I think you would agree with that, Tony. And I think everybody as boxing fans, we all agree on that. We want to see that
the
fight.
Porter fight first, though.
Ah, come on.
I want to see the Porter fight first.
BDA.
What's wrong with that
My
fight?
problem with the whole argument.
Porter out, and all y'all are going to be saying, "Oh,
Sorry, is that they're using Manny Pacquiao.
Hold on.
Measuring stick.
Not that good.
I think we got a delay.
Yeah, we got a
already
delay.
passed the eye test. He's already won a title. Give him Spence. He doesn't need Porter. Let him
All right,
jump in
well-
there with Spence, because all he's going to do is fuck Porter up, and then y'all are all going to jump on his bandwagon. It's a pointless fight that he's going to win. I'm
All
sorry.
right, Tony,
Porter
thank
does
you.
nothing that will stop him.
What'd you
He
say,
has
D?
nothing to add that will cause us any problems. He's going to
Okay. All right. So, well, listen. So, I get your point, Tony. You believe that he should skip the Porter fight because you think he already wins it. But again, Porter is nobody's Tony. Porter's nobody's Prague. I do agree. Listen, do I want to see
Porter
the
might
Crawford
fuck him
Spence?
up.
He just threw Porter under the bus like he's some kind of bum, like he's some kind of Kavaliauskas. Come on,
Well,
man.
I
The
don't
guy's
think
not
he-
an honest
Y'all
man.
remember,
He's just not an
I want
honest man.
everybody listening,
It is what
remember,
it
these
is.
people talking
Yeah,
about
man.
Porter
I mean,
might
look,
fuck him
listen.
up.
Do I want to see the Crawford Spence fight right now? Yeah, I do want to see it but if it can't happen, maybe Crawford Porter at the same time. Look at him, he's still going, man. All right, Tony.
Even
here's
if
the
he's
thing.
big corner, you still wanna see it,
Gonzalo,
no?
please, hold on. Tony, I gotta tell you, man. You keep talking when other people are talking, and you keep talking and talking and talking. I don't think you're hearing other people talk, man.
All day. I'm trying to sleep all.
All right, hold on a second. Now we got some
Because they
distortion.
talk all
You know what I
over
mean?
me, so I talk back over them.
All right. Well,
I think
listen,
he's
I
talking to
don't.
his kid or something.
Look, listen. The Porter fight. You're very sure that Crawford beats Porter, but fights
So
are
then
won
you
on
should
paper.
definitely want to see that fight, right, BDA? You should definitely want to see it.
And
Yeah, then we
he's
should-
picking Crawford to beat Errol Spence, so we don't need to see that one either, do we? I mean, it's like, come on.
Well, actually, that's a good point.
I personally want to see the Spence fight next myself. That's just the one myself.
But it's not going to happen next. I'll be very surprised if it happens. It
No, I
probably
don't
won't
think it's going to happen at all. I don't think it's going to happen this year if it happens at all.
All right, so
He's going to knock out Porter. He's going to knock out Porter, and Spence is still not going to fight him. Then more excuses are going to come. That's the fight that needs to happen, period. I agree.
It needs to happen.
Pacquiao. I don't care
He'll
about
knock
Spence.
out Porter.
I don't care about Porter. I just want to see Bud Spence, period.
All right, I can agree with that. I want to see that
he's
fight
gonna
too.
knock out Porter.
Hey, if Tony review is right,
Based on what?
Tony review is right. If Terence Crawford goes in there and knocks out Porter, man, we got definitely. I'm gonna change my opinion about who
We
I
got
think is gonna win.
mini fucking Hagler going on over there.
He might be able to stop him. It would never be a knockout.
Same Porter who got knocked on his ass by Kell Brook, got knocked on his ass by Adrian Broner, and you acting like it's impossible for somebody like Bud
he's
to
a
knock
bum.
him out.
Wait.
He
Kell
get
Brook,
knocked out by
I gotta
Kell
get. Recognize his right. I gotta get autistic here.
Yeah.
Kell Brook didn't drop Porter.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
listen, the point
We
is,
don't know that much
anything.
about
Can I say something, BDA?
Yes, Gonzalo, go ahead.
Yes, you cannot use Manny Pacquiao for triangle theories, man, because just because what he did or didn't do against Jeff Horn doesn't mean that Terence Crawford wasn't supposed to knock Jeff Horn out. Look, when Duran fought Iron Barkley,
Bullshit stoppage, first of all.
when Duran fought Iron Barkley, or what's that big dude, Davey Moore, he beat him up. Now, when was it Iron Barkley fought Thomas Hearns? Fucking Barkley beat Hearns. So you can't really use Manny Pacquiao as a measuring stick because he's always been the small guy.
Gonzalo, that's not what he was saying. He was saying that Jeff Horn was a legit challenge because he beat Pacquiao, which obviously we don't agree with. So
because Pacquiao's small.
No, but that was his point. We just.
But that was
disagree,
his
so
point,
it is-
Gonzalo. He was trying to.
It was a good win.
Yeah, he's trying to prop up Jeff Horn, who basically
give
cheated
Terence Crawford
throughout the
credit.
whole fight. He was allowed to, and got a gift decision.
All right. Well, listen. At the end of the day, nobody wants. I don't want to see Crawford Porter, man. I'm sorry. I want to. Let's make the big fight happen already. Pound for pound.
Make all those fights happen. If you was the ruler of boxing,
recognize you dropped out, man.
No, I was just going to say, make them all fight. Make them all fight.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree. Now, Tony, we got to move on, but thank you for calling.
Tony's so confident, he should be welcoming that.
Well, there you go.
But
Well, it might happen.
I don't think Tony's confident. I don't think he's.
Well,
that
with their
confident.
age, though, the quicker we get the Spence Crawford fight.
He doesn't listen.
All right, Tony. Thank you for your hold on, Tony. Thank you for your call, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Take it easy. Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I was going to say, I want to get the Spence Crawford fight as soon as possible just because of the age thing. Every time they go into fights, it's like beating up a fucking race car. You know, sometimes the engine isn't as strong. I like to see them when they're both, you know what I mean, coming off, no damage really. So, and they're at the age, I think if they keep putting it off.
They're both in their 30s, right?
Yeah, they're both in their 30s. And Spence, he might have a nutritionist. But even still, it's got to be getting harder and harder. So every time he does it, he gets a little weaker. That might have something to do with his punching power. A lot of it has to do with.
He got off the juice a little bit, or just.
No, I was going to say, dude, that's
yeah,
of course. I mean, all I'm saying is this, dude. And again, I'm just going by statistical, numerical facts. Kids with mesomorphic athletic body styles don't get. Usually, very extremely rare to have very large pockets of estrogen in their nipples. That just almost never happens. But yet it happened to him, a kid who fights in a gym that was notorious reputation for steroids.
But my thing with that, not to talk about his nips too much, but like it's real easy to get rid of that just by tweaking your stack or getting lipo or something. Like it's real easy to fix. So I don't know why they haven't. It's stupid.
He was too busy getting the teeth.
What's that, to get rid of the gyno, brother? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I actually had the surgery, dude. I got a nasty scar from it, but that was when I don't know. I don't think he did a good job.
Well, you can also take like some kind of substance. I'm no expert, but look, guys, check this out. It's very unlikely that the Crawford-Spence fight happens next, and that's because of the current situation in boxing. You know that fight will need a crowd. You know this, okay? Right? I think we could agree on that.
Of course.
So before that can happen, in the meantime, let's keep them sharp. Let's keep them building the fight. And the classic way to do that is you fight the guys that I beat, and I fight the guys you beat. So maybe we could get Spence Amir Khan. Maybe we could get Spence Brooks too. Maybe we could get Spence Kavaliauskas. I mean, everyone's going to be hyped up for those fights. And Crawford could fight, all the PBC boys. I mean, in a perfect world, but it's not happening next. I would like to. This is why I'm saying I would like to see Porter, because it's ripe. Porter seems to want it now. Whatever happened in the past, he seems to want it now. The fight makes sense. It'll hype up the Spence fight. Spence could maybe fight Ugas or somebody like that on the other side. And then when the stadiums open up, they could put it on wherever, however they got to do it. But I don't think it's going to happen next. I don't know what you guys. And in the meantime, let's not have Crawford fight another can. That's all I'm saying.
No Josecito Lopez. Even Josecito Lopez, none of that. Top guy.
But precise to very few people. I know you were complaining about Cal Brook, about the weight right from the beginning. I'm not saying you weren't, but that wasn't the mindset of a lot of people. A lot of people were still calling it a 50-50 fight. I'm not saying you were. You were right off the rip complaining about the weight.
But that's why I called it a scam. I was screaming saying that this is a scam. Like, whatever. I made videos about that shit.
I know. I saw your video and I agree with you. But at the same token, though, I would be upset more with Crawford if it was him saying, "Yeah, give me Kell Brook." But Kell Brook, man, put a full court press on going after fucking. He wanted that fight bad.
He wanted the money, man. He got no.
Yeah, of course he did. Exactly, he wanted the money bad.
BDA, he should have got a 2-for-1 deal when he was in the hospital. He's like, "Give me a new grill, and while you're at it, throw a couple of a new pair of nipples in there."
What the fuck?
That would be like a 3-for-1 deal. 2 nipples and 1 teeth.
The size of the nipples, like what I mean by size, I meant by swollen tissue underneath. I know he has those. People were saying he has those bizarre shaped nipples or size. No, that has nothing to do with steroids. I just want people, in case people don't know that.
Man, that dude had more juice in him than Tropicana. Fucking out. He was goddamn cycling off. A lot of these guys are cycling off. They might.
Man, I don't. You know something, D. I don't care what these guys do. Honestly, I don't care what these guys do. As long as they don't limit their opponents from doing whatever it takes to win. I don't care what you do.
Yeah, yeah, really.
If I was training a fighter, why I wouldn't let him use it? Because here's the problem. You can get away with it when they're not testing, when you're doing your 4-round fights, when you're doing your 6-round fights, 8-round, even sometimes 10-round fights, right? They're not no USADA, VADA, they're not coming to get you. But once you step up to the big leagues, then they're going to start testing you. And when you have fought your whole career, I'm not saying this is Spence, I'm just saying in general, on steroids, never mind the physical detriment it has on your body, the mental is excruciating.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because you're not as confident.
Now think about it, dude.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying, what's the male aggression is testosterone, right? That's the gene, the estrogen. I mean, female has estrogens, males have, we both make the same, but males make more testosterone. Usually, alpha males have a higher. When they test them and we have them test, alpha males, aggressive people usually have above average testosterone levels. And so what happens? You become more aggressive, more self-fucking assertive.
That sounds
in
like
every
me.
possible way. And then when you get off it, oh my God, dude, the mental, that was worse for me. And everybody told me it was going to be, but I thought, no way, dude, I can handle it. Because I was ready for it. And dude, it was bad. It's crippling, man.
Well, especially Jimmy, psychologically. If you're like Jarrell Baby Miller, if you're always used to having that special extra thing, you're not so sure you can do it without that extra thing.
Well, that dude's gonna get sad,
it's like the mental challenge is like you got that girl coming over and you forgot your pills. You know you want to do it, but you can't do it because you don't have your pills. You know what I mean?
know exactly.
What are you talking about? Dick pills, bro?
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Unfortunately,
What are you guys talking about? What's the secret? I need to know the secret.
You need to know the secret. Well, listen, it's not that much of a secret. It's just you get a prescription or you get a guy in the corner that knows where to get it. And boom.
It's all part of the industry. It's all part of the industry.
It's all part of the industry. That's right. It's all over the place. They call it the little blue pill.
Yeah, but if any of you guys if you guys don't have a problem with that, please do not take one of those things.
BDA used to call it.
It was horrible.
BDA used to call it the little pill that could.
Dude, it was disgusting. I was literally going to go to the emergency room. I was hot as Chinese mat for like 6 hours. It was fucking unbelievable.
They slipped my brother a Viagra at a party once.
No,
it was hard for like 24 hours.
Yeah, that can be.
How old was he?
He was only
How old was he?
Like mid 20s.
Exactly. He's already got soaring testosterone levels. He doesn't need any extra help, so that just sent him over the edge.
I wonder how they treat that. I wonder how they treat that in the emergency room. We got an emergency.
Dude, straight up. I'll be straight up.
You guys are losers. I could do that naturally.
Listen, no, what happened? Hey, I was on a 2-day bender with E. We were at an E fucking rave.
Jeez.
And because you're on rolling, so yeah, I was on the second day, and this nurse, man, and my buddy's like, "You taking fucking you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So we went to a hotel room, dude, right? And yeah, anyways, I was a freak back in the day, but yeah, dude, it was ugly. The worst thing is, the reason why I didn't go to the park. Now I don't want to say it on the show, but it was bad. I had ice. It scared me, dude. It scared me straight. Put it that way.
I was gonna say that fucking giving somebody Viagra just like that can be dangerous, man. I mean, it's not just all fun and games. Now, everybody's what's going. Everybody's.
You told me you only take half, but I abuse pills. I always.
By the way,
take
hold
one,
on. I gotta say something. Jimmy. Were you?
It's all natural for me. It's all
exactly.
That's every day. That's every day.
All right, but you know what, man?
BDA.
Hold on, hold on. Okay. Jimmy, are you telling me? So when you got off the roids, you were shaking. You didn't have any confidence. You felt weak. Sounds to me like you had a shock of toxic masculinity. That's what happened to you, man. And you sound not for nothing, man.
A big shock of it.
You sound like a snowflake.
Shut up, libtard.
Well, you don't get
what are you gonna melt, snowflake? What are you gonna melt, snowflake?
It's not emotion.
Go cry about it in your safe space, libtard.
Good.
No, it was in the gym. Like, you don't get the same pump, you don't get the same energy, you don't get the same aggression. Basically, it all comes down to aggression and recovery time too. You're slower longer.
Oh, poor you! You need to toughen up, Jimmy. You need to come work out with me, man. I'll show you how it's done, man. No, naturalito, like Margarito said in the build-up to the Pacquiao fight. Now,
well, you know what? Actually, the BDA, when that guy, the trainer Capetillo, when Margarito got caught and he got suspended, Giovanni Segura was a power puncher, man. all of a sudden he wasn't punching the same.
Huh.
I just got that tidbit of information just recently.
That's
And
interesting.
he was a quick guy that could, yeah.
That's an
Hey,
interesting
PDA,
fact.
PDA, what would you do if you had like a fucking taking the Viagra and the nurse asked you, hey, what's your emergency? I got a fucking stiff. How do you handle that?
I don't know what
dude.
happened.
They get a lot of emergency calls for that, bro. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, but if it
What
happens,
you would have said? I mean, how do you handle it? Kind of
well, you don't. First of all, you don't go.
They give you. Well, they give you a shot to counteract
Jimmy's
the
taking
drug,
it
the
literally.
narcotic.
Man. What was that, Jimmy?
They give you a shot to counteract the drug.
But you go, but you go to the reception and you say, I got a stiff cock, can you help me? How do you handle that?
Well, you stand there with a teepee in her face. You know what I mean? Like she usually gets on, you just kind of nonchalantly look down at the floor. You know. And when you get a teepee, go there with sweatpants, and you put it this way: you're not putting jeans on. So you go there and you pitch in a tent. They figure it out.
And what about the nurse? It's like, here's my number. Call me later or what? She might
Dude,
go to the special rent clinic, Gonzalo, with the little special nurse in the back.
Is that real?
My buddy had, dude, for real. My buddy Louie, dude, was a big cokehead back in the day, but he took some and it got out of control and he got a bad reaction. Dude, he had a cock ring on. They had to cut the fucking thing off.
Oh,
they had to cut it off, dude.
How do they cut? Wait. How did they have a saw for the cock ring? Or
the same saw that they cut. The same saw that he told me that they cut. They just changed the blade, but they cut casts off back in the day.
Wait a minute. So how do they make sure not to go past the fucking ring and into the flesh?
Well, that thing's crazy, dude. The way it is, they set it up right to the caliper, so it goes only so far. You know, you can lay it flush on your skin, and it only goes so far. And then when they got it to right before it was about to break, they snapped it with you know what I mean, their hand.
Can you imagine being a doctor? Can you imagine being a doctor? You train all your life to help people, and you gotta deal with people with light bulbs up their ass and fucking cock rings and Viagra. I mean, it's insane, man. I wouldn't want to be a doctor.
Gerbils.
What was that?
You know what the problem is? You guys are mortals. That's the problem.
Yeah, we're mere mortals compared to the God that recognizes. Remember, recognize the guy who went to the doctor and the doctor told him. Man. What did the doctor tell you? Recognize?
It said his testosterone level is unbelievably high. I said, I know, doctor. Thank you.
And that's not a joke, right?
Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. BDA.
So, were you an aggressive kid in your 20s? Were you quick to it didn't take you much to throw hands?
Listen. I'm gonna be. Look, I'm obviously over exaggerating, but yes, the doctor told me that from my age that my testosterone level is pretty high.
Fuck out of here.
Calm down now.
All right, hold on a second. Everybody's
Just
screaming
out of
today. What's going on?
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 47.
Cool.
It's bullshit. I will say. Well, listen. I'm not for nothing, but I'm in my 50s, and not to toot my own horn, but I'm doing pretty well without the blue pill. So
no, I'm really 47. I'm not in my 50s like BDA.
All right, but I sound very young for a 50-year-old.
So do I. I sound young and handsome.
Well, I don't know about the handsome part, but anyway, the point is.
But if you guys ever run into any issues and you want like a natural remedy, buy some goat testicles.
Oh, that's something. That's something that the locals are telling you down there in Ecuador, right?
Well, does that take down inflammation?
I don't know about that.
But... you said goat test. Do you pour it on? No. I'm curious.
Testicles.
The nuts. You just eat the nuts.
Goat testicles is what he's saying.
That's what the locals Nah, Jimmy, that's what the locals are telling him. They're conning the gringo over there. Like, testiculo, coños, and they fucking precise bicep, man.
But dude, hey, all kidding aside though, BDA, a lot of those, fucking remedies, even if it's tribal, a lot of them are fucking based in fact. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they found aspirin, because they found that, the Indians were chewing on these certain leaves that took care of pains and headaches, and that's how they invented, you know what I mean? So those motherfuckers down there don't know those plants. They know the medicinal purposes.
The way you probably know this, but the way they developed synthetic testosterone is by extracting it from not goat. I think it was dog testicles or something like that, like from mammals. They were extracting. They were looking for this. That's how they discovered it in the first place.
Did you make a video
what's
about
in
that?
here that does this, and that, right? Like, we want to know. So,
All right, listen. Once we start
allegedly,
talking,
Olympic.
go ahead.
One last thing. Olympic
Yeah.
athletes, like thousands of years ago, would eat like bull testicles.
You know what?
That was
It's
their
time to end
PED.
the show when we start talking about fucking goat testicles and which
No,
are the
I
better
find that
testicles.
fascinating. No, I bet you they did do that.
You're scaring BDA. That's what's
Hey,
scary.
real quick, guys. You wanted to? Hey, guys, I saw a fucking this is completely off subject. You guys should watch it. Oh, I was gonna say there's a video. I should link it. It's the special forces, the Russian special forces. When they train, dude, they use live ammo, like literally holding a hostage, and they fucking shoot 10 feet away at the fake dummy with the real soldier holding it with live ammo. The shit they did with live ammo was frightening, actually. You guys, those guys are sick. But anyway, I just saw it before I got on the show. That's why it's
Hey,
fresh in my mind.
Jimmy, did you know
Yes.
that Virgil Ortiz? I'm saying something real quick. I just wanted to tell you he lost his last amateur fight and he got dropped by this guy named Ryan Martin that fought this weekend. The kid's undefeated. I didn't know he got put on the canvas before. Fucking Virgil
I didn't
Ortiz
know that
proposed
either.
it. Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
The difference between amateur and fucking and professional is like it's literally like, okay, I'm 18, I fight a 16-year-old, and he gives me a good fight and I beat him up in the streets. But when he's 18, he might be a fucking monster, and that same result won't happen. That's how it is in professional boxing.
Look at
It's
Joe
literally
Joyce.
night and
He
day.
got stopped in the amateurs, but like, look at him now. You know what I mean?
And exactly, was it a flash down? I'm asking. I mean, Gonzalez, you know, was it like say Lomachenko when he walked into fucking Linares' shot and it was a flash knockdown, or was it like he was goofy and they had to count him?
No, he got caught with the overhand hook. He went down, but he got up, but he still lost on the scorecards. St. Britt says that guy Martin. No, that's not the one. This guy's undefeated in the professionals. He's 11 and 8 with 8 knockouts. No, this was in his last amateur fight. I don't know if his name is Ryan, but I'll actually put the actual name. Let me just look it up. But anyway,
I'll be so disappointed if Virgil Ortiz isn't a killer. I want to see that buck. I hope he is, just because I know I like his style. I like the way he comes to fight.
All right, listen, fellas, we gotta end the show, man. Shout out to everybody who joined us in the panel. Really appreciate it. Hey, before we go, Harlan, Precise, I don't want to put you on the spot, man, but the Second Renaissance Bloodlines episode, when are we gonna do them?
You tell me. I'll be there.
All right, because I've noticed that a lot of you guys are coming in. Like, if we start the show at 4, some of you are coming in at 5. So you tell me.
Yeah, I can't do that early. Yeah, for me, it's got to be like 7 p.m.
That's best for me too. 7 p.m. is a little better for me, but I'll do one and a half. Now, what's the subject so I can learn about it? So I don't sound like, you know what I mean? What is it? Bloodlines?
Vampirism.
What's that?
Vampirism in the British royal family, or just the elites and vampirism.
Oh, how is it true that they're like you can trace the British royals, their bloodline to like Russia, to fucking almost back to Genghis Khan and all that shit?
I don't know about Genghis Khan, but I know you can trace him. You can trace him back to France and maybe even somewhere else, or maybe the Mediterranean,
in Russia and all over the place, right? That's interesting. No, excellent. Good. I'll learn some shit then. Awesome. All right, tell me. All you guys be safe, right?
I just wanna. Yo, Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy J, if you're still here, guys, it's just boxing talk, man. No hard feelings. If
dude.
I apologize.
Absolutely. No, man. Hey, listen, same here too. If I offended anybody, I apologize. It's never it's only fucking boxing.
It's all fun and games while we talk, and then when it's all over, we're all brothers. That's all.
Exactly.
You say you got a video line on YouTube. What's it called? Because I was going to ask you about that.
What's that?
You said you make videos and stuff. If it's on YouTube, what's the channel so I can subscribe to it?
Fight film.
Fight film. All right, I'll go look it up.
Just type in fight film and Crawford sucks, and like I'll pop out the
Hey, by the way,
he does some good videos too on his fucking with his
fight
work.
film
Check
and don't
that out.
fuck yourself, Crawford.
Hey, if I may say something, I'm the opposite of Precise. If I disagree with some of you here, it's personal. Take it personal, and I hate all of you. All right, that's number one. Number two.
When I disagree with you, I want to fight. That's what I'm basically saying.
That's right. Same thing.
Well,
with me.
okay. Now you guys finish stroking each other's balls. I'm out.
Take it easy.
Okay,
CD.
You're not a joiner.
I still want to punch you there one day. Still want to punch
Okay.
him.
Jimmy, his name is Frank Martin. Frank Martin. It was.
He's got a great
Virgil
first
Ortiz.
name.
Frank Martin. It was his last amateur fight. He got dropped and he lost before Ortiz turned professional. I just posted the link on the BDA
Awesome.
Discord.
No, I'm going to check that out. Now, that kid Martin, is he fighting professional now?
Yes, he's 11-8. He fought this weekend. I don't know if he
11
won
and
or
0
lost,
with
but
8 knockouts. Frank
Oh,
Martin.
Wow, I think that made me.
Pretty good record.
Why isn't Virgil? They should try to. With that, I would like to see them. Maybe they should remake that.
Hey, Jimmy, I know you know about this, right? Like, maybe I'm pretty sure this happened with Ward, Mickey Ward. I wonder if Mickey Ward, like, obviously, I'm sure he lost some fights as an amateur or even in a sparring fight. Was he ever scared to fight those guys again?
No. He would always want to fight the guys who beat him because the thing with Mickey, nobody ever really hurt him. He would just lose on points.
No,
you know what I mean. That was never a thing with him.
He never got his ass beat. Like he never got a guy whipped.
Can I tell you about a kid from Barica, dude? Real quick story. There was a kid, right? This fucking little feather-fisted clown used to tune Mickey up in the air and just beat him in the fucking mittens, beat him in the gloves. Never turned pro. So he was like 32 years old. He won the gloves like 7 years in a row. He just wouldn't turn pro. And again, it's so, you punch somebody at the white part of your glove, it's a point. You knock the person down, it's 1-1. There's no 10-8 rounds. It's a lot different, like you said, the scoring. But yeah, Mickey wasn't built for the amateurs. And he just wasn't. Although he did all white AAUs and he did the nationals, but he just wasn't an amateur built fighter.
You know what's funny? With Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley, I believe Vernon beat him in the mittens. No, not the mittens. Excuse me. He beat him in the gloves. He beat him twice. Twice, and he did it as a pro. He beat him twice as an amateur and twice as a pro.
I thought he beat him. I thought he beat him in the Olympic trials.
Knocked him out.
Didn't he beat him in the Olympic?
Knocked out who?
Vernon in the amateurs.
Wow, look at that. Oh shit.
I went to high school. I went to high school.
I watched Mike Tyson fucking lose in the amateurs and went on to tear apart the locker room, but fucking he would have killed that prison guard if they ever fought again. Because he was a grown ass man. The prison guard was 26 and Mike Tyson was 16 when he came down to fight for Team Vermont.
That's amazing. At 16 he was fucking competing against
26-year-old prison guard who was a monster dude.
Yeah.
And a reputation as a tough street fighter, this Irish kid. And he straight up said, I asked him, I said, how did he hit? Because we heard rumors, this fucking monster's coming down from Team Vermont. Everybody heard, it came. So we were all just so worried, wanting to hear. And I asked him, like, dude, his name was Jerry, I think. I'm like, Jerry.
It's funny when my dad used to train me, and he's built like Mike Tyson. And what I'm saying by Mike Tyson, he's built like the height and the weight. He had that stocky build.
Fire hydrant.
And he would tell me this, and I thought he was bullshitting. He's like, dude, when I was 16, so like I'm 15, 16 years old. So he's telling me, when I was 15, 16 years old, I used to fuck up men. I used to beat up men. And I thought he was like bullshitting, right? But it's like, I think those kind of those men that are built that way, and I know that you know the proper names for that, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's usually man-child.
Early, they get their men's strength real early.
And body strength. I mean, who their parents are, the genetics. When I tell you, the first time I saw him, not in the ring, when we went into the locker room, he was sitting up on the table, and what's his name? Kevin Rooney was on one side of him, and Atlas was in his face, kind of yelling at him to tell him to calm down because he was like hyperventilating, crying, like he was fucking freaking out, and then he just spazzed, and they had to go get fucking out the old man in there to calm him down.
What's his body type? What's his body type?
Dude, it was crazy. I swear to God, the minute somebody stepped out of the way and I finally saw him, he's sitting on the table and he had his head down. Because of the way he had his head, I could see his neck perfectly into his traps. Dude, it was this. I looked right down at my thighs. I turned my buddy Louis. That dude's his neck's the size of my thighs. It was crazy, dude.
Hey, by the way, can I just say something real quick?
I shook his hand. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, because we got to go. But just real quick, Gonzalo sent me the clip there on the Discord. I'll probably put it on the main Discord of the Frank.
Yeah, I just sent it to Jimmy directly. Sorry for interrupting, BDA. I just found
that's okay. But also, I also like to say, you can also.
He actually goes to the fights, and that's how he's able to film them. That link that is in. Anyway,
you can also check out another interesting tidbit was Berlanga, everybody's favorite power puncher. There's a video of his amateur. Berlanga. There's a video of him getting knocked out in the amateurs too on YouTube. So check that one out if you're interested. One of his lone losses.
I'm not shocked, man. Listen, I like Berlanga, but
I do too.
I'm still not. I'm not sold. I gotta see him get hit.
Exactly. Can he catch? We all know he can pitch because his power is real. Like we've all said, it doesn't matter if you knock out bums, if you knock people out, you knock them out. Your power is real.
I've met people like that, and these are the kind of guy he is. That's natural strength. That's pure natural strength that he has.
All right, now, fellas. With that being said, we do have to go, and the Muslims are coming to get me, so we got to go. Shout out to everybody who joined us, man. Shout out to fucking Jimmy, Recognize, Gonzalo, Jay, D was here as well. Shout out, take it easy, man. Take it easy. Mark was here as well. Stu, Precise, the whole family was here tonight. It was a very good episode. Got a little hectic.
Great show.
Got a little hectic, but
everybody just yells.
No, not everybody just yells. Everybody,
but dude, for fucking 8 people, 9 people, it's blind. You don't know when. You don't have a timetable when to jump in. I think, for the most part, I think the show does an unbelievable job of not. It's crazy that we have that many people who are able to keep it the way it is. So
I agree, man. I agree. I agree, man. Because you know what it is, man. It's 8 people, and I don't want it to turn into one of those shows where it's all right. Jimmy, you go ahead. All right, you said your piece. All right, Gonzalo, you go ahead. Like, there's no interaction, there's no rapport, nobody adds to what the other person says. It's just you talk, we listen. All right, next to the other person. That's not a good show. It's gotta be. No. I would prefer that it's a little bit hectic like this than just a standard question and answer show. That gets boring real quick. So shout out to you fellas.
Debate today. Exactly. That's what your show is, debate channel.
I'm just honored that you guys actually let me into this, and from being a regular caller to actually be on the panel. I mean, I don't have any other outlet for this.
Now, who's this?
I'm Jay.
Jay, no, dude, fucking no. You, I think you bring a lot, dude. I like the points you bring, not just tonight too, but every time you call. That's why you listen. I like the way BDA does this. He lets people call in, and if they make good points and they can offer to the show, he invites them. I think he does an excellent job at that. He's brought in a lot of good guys, and you're definitely one of them. Don't think you belong here, bro, is what my point is anyways. So
just in case anybody's wondering how it worked out, Jay got in here because he was able to tell me the name of the guy the heavyweight who raped an old bum lady, Joel Scott. That was the name of the guy. So when he said the name, I said, all right, this guy knows boxing, he's got to be in here. So he brought up the name of a rapist, and the name of a rapist got him on the show. It's not usually how it works.
Sometimes it's all it takes, brother. And I hope he joins us again, man. You bring a good energy, bro, for real. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Yeah, he's very fluid when he talks. He talks like the Micro Machine guy. He throws a lot of words in like really fast. Like me, I stutter and sometimes I shout because I think Stu's gonna cut me off. And
you know what? I got the same problem, man. Sometimes I talk very fast because I think somebody's gonna jump in and interrupt me. So, listen, we'll do a better job as we go along. But anyway, shout out to everybody out here, man. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Good night, bro.
Take it easy. All right, and you know what? Before we leave, shout out to everybody who donated with the super chat. I'm talking about Michael Poe, Julio Ochoa, Chris K, Willie Williams, Boxing Learner, Steven Schneider, and that guy. Can't forget everybody who called in. Thank you guys for calling. Really appreciate it. We're going to be doing a special show on Friday where it's just open lines, everything open lines. I might not even invite people from the panel because otherwise it gets too hectic. Unless they want to come in and they insist, I'll let them in. I mean, we'll see how it works out. But I usually want to do a show for the people where I open up the StreamYard phone lines. Everybody gets to speak their piece. Because I want some new blood too every once in a while. So once a week, new blood and open phone lines. So thanks to everybody who donated the super chat, everybody who called in. Of course, can't forget White Devil, Scripting College, Jed Kyle, Travis the Chimp, Triple JJJ, Elias Tufexis, Burgess Meredith, Wesley M, Guerrero de la Info, Virtuoso, shout out to Virtuoso, Kevin the Carrot, Tarvis the Chimp, Xan Calder, Nes Mendoza, and many more to come. If I forget anybody, it's because I can't go up anymore to the chat, but thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a safe evening. We'll catch you on the next one, fellas. Take it easy.
played for you, bar, ba, ba, bum, bum, all night long. Very night, bar, ba, ba, bum, bum. The ox and lamb kept time, bar, ba, ba, bum, bum. I played my drum for him, bar, ba, ba, bum, bum. I played my best for him, bar, ba, ba, bum, bum, ba, ba, bum,